c. 2656. c. 2656. The people of Heaven Wasteland aristocratic family were instantly enraged. They wanted to kill Chen Xiang immediately. They still remember very clearly that Chen Xiang had killed their two outstanding Holy Son of Heaven Wastelands back then. Evil Dragon Holy King had heard of many of Chen Xiang's stories, and were very interested in him. Although Chen Xiang was very famous, he didn't think that Chen Xiang had the power to defeat him. Although dozens of years had passed, Evil Dragon Holy King had a deep understanding of the primitive land below. He had calculated the time just now, and the time Chen Xiang spent below was not even a year yet. It was impossible to have any improvement in 1 year, let alone the fact that dozens of years had passed. Right, who are you, an Evil Dragon Prince? Chen Xiang suddenly asked. Evil Dragon Prince had already died in his chuangs. Hi+God furnace. You. Could it be that you were the one who killed him? Evil Dragon Holy King was instantly enraged. When he went to hunt for Sword-Winged Tiger back then, he had never returned. Hearing Chen Xiang's question, Evil Dragon Holy King's face changed. It was actually Chen Xiang who killed them. That's right. I originally thought that he was very strong, but I never expected him to be so weak. Right now, you look just like that guy. Chen Xiang summoned his heavenly magic sword. Although the Evil Dragon Holy King in front of him was of the 10th stage of the Tao Sovereign Realm, he was an evil dragon, and his body was filled with evil demon power. And Chen Xiang's power in training was precisely used to restrain this power, so he held the upper hand in this aspect. Originally, I was very interested in you and didn't want to kill you. Since you killed my nephew, today I must take your life. Unless you dare to fight with me, I will definitely kill you. Evil Dragon Holy King enunciated every word, filled with rage. Then let's not waste time, I want to see how strong you are, boasting shamelessly here. Chen Xiang held the heavenly magic sword, and teleported to the battlefield where the barrier was located. Many people behind Chen Xiang were secretly worried. They knew that Chen Xiang was strong, but the opponent was after all, a Evil Dragon Holy King, and he was the younger brother of the Evil Dragon Emperor. Furthermore, he was favored by the natural law Divine Lord, and was very strong. Although they were worried about Chen Xiang, they were very confident in him. Evil Dragon Holy King, if possible, try not to kill him. Jinan suddenly said. No matter what, we will capture him today, you should know how important he is. Evil Dragon Holy King took a deep breath and nodded. The importance of Chen Xiang lay in the heavenly alchemy that he was cultivating. That was a divine art that even the divine wastelands had gone extinct in, and that was what natural law Divine Lord wanted right now. If they could bring Chen Xiang back and interrogate them about the heavenly alchemy, they would all get rich rewards. Although the Evil Dragon Holy King was angry, he did not lose his reason. As long as they could capture Chen Xiang and force him to reveal the heavenly alchemy, it would not be too late to kill him in the future. So even if I win today, do you guys still want to fight here? Chen Xiang looked at Jinan. If it was in the past, he would definitely be very wary of a powerhouse like Jinan who was at the 9th or 10th level of the Tao Sovereign Realm. But now, he wasn't afraid at all. This was all because he had gained another powerful strength, causing him to be filled with confidence. His words just now contained a faint, powerful aura that caused even Jinan to feel somewhat terrified. After all, it has been a long time since we and the Heavenly Dragon City have had a head-on battle. Today, everyone is here, so it's not a big deal if we have a big fight. Jinan looked at Long Jiuxiao and the others. There were quite a few people, and they were all experts. What's more was that at the entrance of the Heavenly Dragon City, there were still many rankers that had yet to come out, so Jinan was not very confident at the moment. He had already secretly sent word to get the rankers on his side to come and reinforce them. In terms of aura, their side was inferior, which was very disadvantageous for their side. In order to increase their aura, Jinan boasted. Don't think that just because you have more people, I will be afraid of you. We are from the desolate G.O.D. clan, and although you guys are stronger than us humans compared to us the N.O.B. race of the desolate G.O.D. clan, you guys are just bullsh *t. Jean N sneered, then looked towards Evil Dragon Holy King and said, Brother Xialong, although we can't kill this brat, but let him suffer a bit, just use all of your tormenting methods on him. Qin Xiang stretched his back and said, Are you done yet? Luoli, just wait a while. Even if you don't attack us, I will definitely exterminate this prideful heavenly desolate G.O.D. clan of yours. Let's see who's the one that isn't right. As Qin Xiang was speaking, the evil dragon Holy King suddenly turned into a black mist, and in the blink of an eye, it had enveloped Qin Xiang. After the black mist that shrouded Qin Xiang dissipated, there were a few black vines wrapped around his body. It looked like many skinny dragon claws that were entwined together, tightly locking Qin Xiang up. Evil Dragon Holy King's voice suddenly came out. His long sword had already reached Qin Xiang's chest. Everyone was shocked. They thought that Qin Xiang's chest was going to be pierced, but when Evil Dragon Holy King's sword touched Qin Xiang's chest, the black sword tip was covered by a layer of golden mist. You want to stop me with such little tricks? He is underestimating me too much. While Qin Xiang was speaking, his body flashed, and all of the black vines wrapped around his body disappeared. The heavenly magic sword in his hands had already pierced out. Although Evil Dragon Holy King was shocked, his reaction was extremely quick. His body turned into black mist, dodging Qin Xiang's sword, and then suddenly appeared beside Qin Xiang SLA's HI+ing horizontally at Qin Xiang's waist. You want to defeat me like this? Qin Xiang's body shook for a moment, then 8 primitive Tao power S from the primordial profound gate surged out, and then Pa-S said through the 10-layered profound gates, and poured into his body. Boom! Qin Xiang's body erupted with a burst of rumbling thunder. The power was exploding in Qin Xiang's body, coming out from the pores of his body, forming a powerful force which surrounded Qin Xiang's body. When Evil Dragon Holy King's sword touched the force, it was immediately repelled away and flew out of his hand. Evil Dragon Holy King, there are so many evil forces inside your body, and I just so happen to be your nemesis. You still want to catch me alive, you are simply boasting shamelessly. With a teleportation, Qin Xiang arrived behind Evil Dragon Holy King. His heavenly magic sword had already been absorbed into his body, flowed to his 2 fists, and transformed into slaughtered God's hand. The shock in Evil Dragon Holy King's heart, the burst of energy that Qin Xiang had just released had truly scared him. He did not dare believe that Qin Xiang would actually become so strong under the primitive land. Feeling that the force was right behind him, he wanted to immediately dodge, but just as he turned into the black fog, he suddenly couldn't move. Even if he turned into the black fog, he was still locked in one area and couldn't rush out. He had already been frozen in place by Qin Xiang using the power of SPAC. Qin Xiang's power of SPAC had Pa-S said through 10 layers of profound entrances. Its might was limitless. It wouldn't be difficult to stop this Evil Dragon Holy King at all. Humph! Qin Xiang groaned. His G.O.D. killing fist had already landed on Evil Dragon Holy King's face. Even though it had turned into mist after being punched by Qin Xiang, he immediately reverted back to his original form. Otherwise, he would die more easily, because his atomized state made him die more easily. C-2657. C-2657 Long Jiuxiao's strength was beyond their expectations. They knew that Qin Xiang would definitely be able to win against Evil Dragon Holy King, but they never thought that he would be able to suppress her so quickly. Boom! Qin Xiang's explosive fist strike landed on Evil Dragon Holy King's face, causing a series of explosions. This was the devil subduing method. Didn't you want to kill me? Don't you think I'm bulls? Hi plus T? Then what are you? Qin Xiang's fist directly struck towards the evil dragon Holy King's mouth that was about to scream, causing all his teeth to crumble, and blood to flow unceasingly. Stop! Jin En suddenly rushed over. Just as he arrived, Qin Xiang took evil dragon Holy King and teleported to the sky, using the white tiger to jump out. He is the younger brother of the evil dragon emperor. Just as Jin En finished speaking, Qin Xiang chopped off evil dragon Holy King's head with a sword and then smashed a fist onto his body. Fresh blood violently gushed out from evil dragon Holy King's body and sprinkled onto his and the group of evil forces like rain. The black and stinky blood drenched the evil, making those people feel disgusted. At this moment, they were even more furious. Their great general had been killed just like that. Of course, this also frightened them. Qin Xiang's strength was actually that terrifying. A 10th stage Dao sovereign evil dragon Holy King was killed so easily. I said it before, these evil spirits aren't even worth a single blow in my eyes. Although they're only of the 10th level of the Dao sovereign realm, because of the restraint of my power, they're only of the 1st level of the Dao sovereign realm. A few moves can kill them. After Qin Xiang finished speaking, he took out a small seal. This seal looked very ordinary, but Xue Ying and Lin Shirong, who were below, knew how terrifying it was. This is a Emperor's seal. At that moment, Qin Xiang immediately used the strongest sound transmissions he had on Long Jiuxiao, Jiuhanru, and the others, telling them to set up an enchantment so that they could defend themselves against the power that would burst out later. Otherwise, the waves that would come later would destroy the outer city of Heavenly Dragon City. Long Jiuxiao and the others worked together and soon created a barrier. They already knew what Qin Xiang was going to do next. What are you doing? Jin En had also detected the movements of Long Jiuxiao and the others, and had actually set up a large barrier to protect the Heavenly Dragon City behind them. So? Do you think you can go back after causing trouble this time? With me, Qin Xiang, here, you guys can forget about leaving this place alive. But I can send you all to see that darn natural law Divine Lord. No need to thank me. Qin Xiang used all his might to grab onto the Emperor's seal and imprint onto the group of people who were being poured with the stinky dragon blood. Roar! A crazed dragon's roar suddenly exploded, shaking the earth and causing it to shake violently. The surrounding mountains were not destroyed by the shockwave, but were directly smashed to pieces by the sonic wave. Roar! Roar! A dragon roared without end, its entire body Hi plus Ning with golden light. It was solemn and solemn, carrying an incomparable might as it charged downwards. Boom! As the huge dragons pressed down, many people spat out blood from the pressure. Some even fell onto the ground, and as they were torn apart by the pressure, the earth rumbled and split into pieces. Boom! The colossal dragon collided with the ground, and a powerful golden light burst out, like a raging roar of the blazing sun. The heavens collapsed, as if thousands of stars had gathered and crashed into each other. Miserable screams rang out unceasingly. Although the cries were loud, no one heard them. Furthermore, the screams did not last long before those people were completely gone. Only after an entire hour had passed did he gradually recover. Everyone's faces turned white. Even though they were experts here, and even though they had powerful enchantments to protect themselves, they were still intimidated by the boundless might. It was as if the world was flipped upside down. The area that was originally flat ground was now filled with huge rocks. The mountains that were originally continuous before were now completely raised flat ground. Some places even had deep cracks on them. The people from Heaven Wasteland aristocratic family were all gone, they were all dead. Qin Xiang slowly descended, his clothes fluttering with the wind, his face carrying a faint smile. At the moment he still had a calm and relaxed appearance, He did not look like he had just killed a group of strong evil demons. This fellow. Lin Shirong looked at Chen Xiang, not knowing what to feel. She felt that even she was not a match for Chen Xiang right now. At this moment, everyone was shocked speechless by Chen Xiang's power. This power had already far surpassed them. In the entire natural law world, he was definitely an existence which seemed to be an overlord. Everyone can go back now, I'll go talk to Great Landlord, Chen Xiang said, then disappeared with a teleport. Long Huishan laughed out loud. This brat is still the same as before. When he attacks, he's always so shocking. Anyway, with him here, we are not afraid of the evil G.O.D. mountain attacking us. He should be worried about the evil G.O.D. mountain. Everyone returned to the Heavenly Dragon City. The defenses of the Heavenly Dragon City were still very strong, and in the undulations just now, she was still safe and sound. The people outside the barrier of the Heavenly Dragon City were completely unrecognizable. Chen Xiang had already arrived at the Sacred Wasteland and found the Great Landlord. The Sacred Wasteland was originally an independent SPAC, but now it had already fused with the natural law world. Great Landlord, long time no see. Chen Xiang suddenly appeared in Great Landlord's study room. At this time, Great Landlord was also reading an ancient book. Chen Xiang. Great Landlord laughed heartily and stroked his beard. I knew that you would definitely be able to return. Right, there was quite a commotion just now. What exactly happened? Fan S, H, I plus Xin didn't ask me for help. It's nothing, I was just killing a bunch of BASTARDS that come to the Heavenly Dragon City's gate all day long to cause trouble. Chen Xiang smiled slightly. It's all gone? Great Landlord was shocked. It seems your strength has increased quite a bit. I really can't tell what kind of people you've killed. He's a guy who claims to be a evil dragon holy king, and he's also called Jinin. Since they're all dead, it doesn't matter what they call him anymore. Chen Xiang waved his hands. He sat on a chair and started flipping through an ancient book. Great Landlord took a deep breath. Good boy, you have annihilated them all. Fine, since these guys are always here every 2 or 3 days, and since Jiu Shao and the others can't do anything about it, if they really fight, it won't be good for Jiu Shao and the rest either. This is also because they don't have enough strength. But now, you probably don't have to be afraid of them anymore. Later, you and I will go to the evil G.O.D. mountain and level that mountain. Chen Xiang laughed. Why don't we go now? A voice suddenly came from outside. No need to go, evil G.O.D. mountain is already flat, haha. The Yuan Feng who spoke. Great Landlord was shocked, and after sensing a bit, said, Isn't this natural law divine spirit and Earth's core divine spirit? What's wrong with all of you? You actually dare to flatten the evil G.O.D. mountain. Of course they didn't have that kind of strength, but Wan Yuxiong did, and Wan Yuxiong was one of the disciples of one of the natural law divine lords back then, so he was very strong. C 2658. C 2658. Chen Xiang knew that Yuan Feng and the others had gone to the evil G.O.D. mountain to cause trouble, but he never thought that it would be settled so quickly. Don't call me natural law divine spirit, I'm Yuan Feng now. Old Qian, are you enjoying your life now? Yuan Feng walked into the study room and laughed. I'm Yuan Xian. Yuan Xian cupped his hands towards Great Landlord. Wan Yuxiong. Great Landlord looked at Chen Xiang, as if he understood what was going on. All right, how did you manage to escape the restraints of that kind of power? The Great Landlord said. The restrictions on the Great Landlord wasn't that strong, but it prevented him from being promoted and he couldn't leave the natural law world. That was why he had been trying to find a way to do so these past few years. Now that he saw that Yuan Xian and Yuan Feng could get rid of them, he really wanted to know why. He had also went to find Du Shaoling and had asked him to help him before, but he couldn't succeed. That brat helped me. If we didn't suddenly get dragged into the heavenly evil abyss, he would have come back to help you. Yuan Feng laughed. Chen Xiang took out a few pills condensed from primitive Tao power and threw them to Great Landlord, saying, "This is the pill they are using." The primitive Tao power was extremely hard to obtain for the people here, but Chen Xiang had an endless number of them. Primitive Tao power. This is a pellet condensed from the primitive Tao power. Great Landlord's body trembled, his body was shaking, this was too rare for him. And the seal within his soul required a large amount of primitive Tao power to be unsealed. This kid has primitive Tao power all over his body, if not he would not be so terrifying. I really don't know how he cultivate. Yuan Feng sighed. I am an alchemist. When I was cultivating the gate of heavenly mystery, I collected a large amount of primitive Tao power from those black hairs human S and then used my alchemy skills to refine a pellet that contains a large amount of primitive Tao power. After consuming the pellet, I would cultivate up to the primordial profound gate and then have an endless supply of primitive Tao power. Chen Xiang laughed. Hearing Chen Xiang's words, the Great Landlord thought about it carefully and then shook again. I remember that your profound door was completely opened. If you use the primitive Tao power to pass S through the profound door, then wouldn't it be very strong? No, it requires a very strong physical body. Could it be that your physical body is also very strong? Chen Xiang smiled and nodded. Now, all I need to do is cultivate my Tao God soul to the great perfection level and I will be able to step into the Tao God stage. Great Landlord sighed and nodded. You know how to refine such a strong pill, that's how great it feels. Oh right, what conditions do you need to go to Divine Wasteland for? Chen Xiang asked. Although our current strength can suppress the forces of evil, but if we do not take care of it completely, we will come back in the future. Everyone here understood what Chen Xiang meant. If they wanted to solve the problems of this world, they had to go to the Divine Wasteland and kill the only person that was in charge of this world. Killing Natural Law Divine Lord required a lot of strength, but Great Landlord felt that Chen Xiang was qualified. To go to the Divine Wasteland, you have to first wait. Wait patiently until the moment of solar eclipse. At that time, you can open the tunnel and enter the Divine Wasteland. The Great Landlord said, although we can enter from the myriad Gods abyss, that road isn't easy. That's right. When I first came down, I was already half dead and had yet to recover. So I had no choice but to not take the myriad Gods abyss route. Wan Yuxiong said. Great Landlord still doesn't know Wan Yuxiong's ident. One Tai. He looked at Wan Yuxiong curiously, and Chen Xiang immediately introduced him to Wan Yuxiong. Looks like we'll have to wait for now. Chen Xiang said. That's right, I am only a Tao Lord now, can I go to Divine Wasteland? With your strength, this shouldn't be a problem. Great Landlord said, but you need to understand clearly that when you go to a world of higher levels, you will always be at the middle and lower levels. Wan Yuxiong understood this point very well, and said, it is indeed so, but you don't have to worry. The Divine Wasteland is also filled with powers, you can just find someone to rely on, and at that time I will go with Chen Xiang. Alright, while we wait for the eclipse, let's clean up the evil forces here. Chen Xiang said. Leave it to us. Yuan Feng laughed. Anyway, I have been very idle these days. Yuan Feng dragged Wan Yuxiong along with him, and went to find the evil forces to destroy everything. If he couldn't beat them himself, Wan Yuxiong would help him. Great Landlord would go into seclusion to refine the primitive Tao power pill. Under Yuan Feng's guidance, Chen Xiang found the island his father was on. Shen Tianhu was the island master now, so he managed this island well. Furthermore, the power of the island spirit was becoming more and more terrifying. Previously, Feng Yujie was the one who brought Chen Xiang here, and later on, Feng Yujie himself came many times, as he came to collect medicinal ingredients. This island is very stable now, not like how it used to be. Shen Tianhu entertained Chen Xiang. He was Chen Xiang's father, so Feng Yujie and the others frequently brought pills here. Therefore, Shen Tianhu's cultivation was also very high. Dad, your life is pretty good. This island is so magical. It's almost like a kingdom, and it can fly all over the place. The plants here can grow quickly. Chen Xiang laughed. Brat, is Yu Jie really your woman? Does Xian Xian have any objections? Shen Tianhu asked softly. Because the people on the island did not go out much, Shen Tianhu did not really understand much about the matters outside, especially the matters regarding Chen Xiang. That's what she told you? Chen Xiang asked. Yes. She brought a few girls and called me daddy. They are all so beautiful. Did you use some underhanded method? Shen Tianhu drank the wine with a face full of doubt. No, you don't have that much confidence in your son? Chen Xiang curled his lips. He looks like this is true? But then again, you have so many women, why don't you have any children? Shen Tianhu continued. It's been so many years, I really want to hug my grandson. Chen Xiang picked his ears and laughed. Father, what are you so anxious about? It's not a peaceful time right now. Wait till I settle down. I'm worried that you won't be able to come over with me when you carry me. With these words of yours, I can feel at ease. Shen Tianhu laughed. Chen Xiang took out some medicinal ingredients and told them to give them to Shen Tianhu to grow. All these years, the pill-fragrant garden in Hundreds of Flowers village was created because of the large amount of medicinal ingredients obtained from there. Only now did he return to the Hundreds of Flowers village to look for Xue Xianxian. Every time he returned to the Hundreds of Flowers village, he would first go find Xue Xianxian and the others. Yu Qing, this girl, she has created so many curse traps. Chen Xiang accidentally stepped on a trap and his leg became a block of wood. Luckily his primitive Tao power was strong enough to directly force out the curse. I knew you would come at this time. Su Yuqing walked out of the house and laughed. This is I trying to test your little test. In the past, the moment Chen Xiang entered the courtyard, he could feel the busy atmosphere. But this was not the case now, as he had seen several women quietly reading in the hall. He did not know what they were reading. Chen Xiang took out the Emperor's seal wanting Xue Xianxian and the others to study them and see what secrets they were hiding. C-2659. C-2659. After Chen Xiang used the Emperor's seal to eliminate those who came to cause trouble, Leng Yulan ran over excitedly to tell Xue Xianxian about them. So when Chen Xiang took out the Emperor's seal, Xue Xianxian and the others immediately walked over. Is it this little seal? It can release such a powerful force and easily kill so many experts. Lu Meng'er received it and looked at it carefully. She looked at it for a while as if she could not see anything, then said it to Xue Xianxian. Dongfang Xinyue and Dongfang Jing came closer to observe little seal's exterior, but did not discover any spirit grain. In the end they could only use their consciousness to observe the inside. Chen Xiang then carried Su Yuqing and sat on a chair, allowing her to sit on his lap while teasing her. Little scoundrel! Su Yuqing felt that Chen Xiang's hand was naughtily reaching over, so he smilingly slapped it away, and then jumped down from the bed and ran over to Lu Meng'er's side. Lu Meng'er pouted at Chen Xiang and then walked over to pinch Chen Xiang's ears. Chen Xiang held her in his arms, feeling around and feeling that she had eaten a lot of tofu. There's something. Xue Xianxian suddenly shouted. Elder Sister Meng'er, come take a look. Lu Meng'er hurried over, only to see Xue Xianxian's finger condensing a golden dewdrop, which dripped onto the Emperor's seal. What is this? Is it blood? Chen Xiang was shocked. The blood looked extremely similar to the golden blood of the Ji. Oh, of course not, this is a special kind of energy. This seal requires an ability to activate. Even if I told you, you wouldn't understand. Xue Xianxian said. After that she condensed a few more golden dewdrops, and placed them on top of the Emperor's seal. Chen Xiang watched carefully from the side, only to see a faint light leaking out of the Emperor's seal, and slowly, the entire Emperor's seal was enveloped by this light. The golden glow grew brighter and brighter, becoming denser and denser, causing Shui Xianxian's jade hands to seem as if they were holding a gold S.H.I. plus New York jewel. After a moment, the golden light outside the Emperor's seal disappeared, and the Emperor's seal became transparent like a crystal. What's going on? Chen Xiang saw that there was a golden pearl in the middle of the transparent Emperor's seal. What is that bead? Dongfang Jing frowned and asked. There is such a frightening power. I don't know. It looks like something that's been sealed inside. The outer layer of the crystal is also very profound. Although there is a very strong thing sealed inside, it can control that thing very well and let it release a very strong power. Lu Menger said. It seems like we need to take a closer look and see if we can get a wisp of divine soul to infiltrate inside. Shui Xianxian said. I'll go with you and have a look. 2 wisps of divine soul can help each other. Lu Menger said. Shui Xianxian nodded. Then they sat down and placed the Emperor's seal on the table. Her jade-like fingers lightly touched the Emperor's seal, closed her eyes, and released a wisp of divine soul to probe inside. Jing, stay here and look at Xianxian and elder sister Menger. Chen Xiang snickered, then pulled Dongfang Xinyue and Su Yuqing along as they teleported into the room. Dongfang Jing muttered coquettishly, "Big brother scoundrel." Of course she knew what Chen Xiang was doing, and her face couldn't help but turn red. Su Yuqing and Dongfang Xinyue were brought into the room, and they lightly punched Chen Xiang, but their clothes had unwittingly fallen off, and started to turn the tables with Chen Xiang. When Lu Menger and Shui Xianxian woke up, they both shook their heads. Jing, where are your brother and your aunt? Lu Menger had just finished asking this question, when she thought of something and scoffed at him. This little scoundrel is really something. Come, let's go teach him a good lesson. Shui Xianxian let out a charming snort, and walked into the room while pulling Lu Menger along with her. Dongfang Jing had kissed her before, and even seen her body before. Although he had accepted her as his recognized sister, she actually liked Chen Xiang a lot. She was at a loss for a moment, bit her lips, and walked out of the small villa to look for Leng Yulan and Mu Qianxiang. Quiet. Leng Yulan and Mu Qianxiang were discussing about battle skills in the same courtyard when Dongfang Jing suddenly walked in. Right, have you seen your brother yet? Mu Qianxiang asked. I see it, this guy is currently with. I'm sleeping on a bed with elder sister Menger and the others. Dongfang Jing stuck out his tongue. Hearing that, Leng Yulan snorted. D.A.M. N it, he helped us little sisters to no avail. Mu Qianxiang laughed. Then what about it, why don't the 3 of us take him down? Done. Alright, let's do it. Jing, do you dare? Leng Yulan said. She did not hide her feelings for Chen Xiang. At that time, Chen Xiang had also kissed her a few times, but back then she did not understand. Now that she knew, she kept it in her heart. Do you really want to do this? Dongfang Jing said in a low voice. We are not his blood-related sister. When this scoundrel took us in as his recognized sister, he was already uneasy and kind, bullying us for being simple. Leng Yulan said. Okay, second sister, you plan. Dongfang Jing's face was flushed, but Leng Yulan and Mu Qianxiang didn't look anything like before. Chen Xiang did not know when he would return to the divine wasteland, so he planned to warm and nurture his beloved woman before he left. After an entire night, Chen Xiang was already satisfied. He hugged Shui Xianxian in one hand and the Emperor's seal in the other, as he looked at the golden pearl inside. Just what is this? Could it be a pill? Chen Xiang frowned. You'll know once you use your divine soul to look inside. In short, we can't say for sure, but our divine soul seeped in, and we didn't discover anything. Lu Menger said. Su Yuqing received it and said, I will use my curse power to see. After a moment, Su Yuqing's face revealed a look of confusion. This seems to be a pill, but there are a lot of strange powers on top of this pill, including the power of the curse. Anyway, the thing inside is sealed, so there's no mistake about it. Su Yuqing returned the Emperor's seal back to Chen Xiang. Looks like I have to test it myself, Chen Xiang said. He kept the Emperor's seal and planned to find a quiet place to try it himself. Dong dong dong. Suddenly, someone knocked heavily on the door. Are you guys done yet? It was Ling Yulan's voice. Brother, I have something to talk to you about. Chen Xiang hastily put on his clothes, and then teleported to the hall. Looking at Ling Yulan, he smiled. Yulan, what's the matter? It's been a long time since our little sisters have gathered with you. Chen Xiang has made a lot of delicious food, let's hurry up and go. Ling Yulan pulled Chen Xiang and ran towards their house. Chen Xiang was naturally very willing to be with his few pretty and cute little sisters. He felt that it was true as well, as he hadn't played around with them much these past few years. C-2660. C-2660. Chen Xiang followed Ling Yulan to their house and entered a pathway. Will a dinner be held in the secret chamber? Chen Xiang was a little doubtful. Here's a surprise for you, Ling Yulan said casually, although she was the same big and tall, but she had a lot of experience in the human world, and a lot of clever ideas. If you tell me there's a surprise, then won't you let me know? Then what's a surprise? Chen Xiang laughed. Brother, I can assure you that you won't be able to guess what kind of surprise this might be. Ling Yulan smiled mysteriously, and his smile was very cunning. Chen Xiang was already prepared to be tricked. He felt that being teased by these girls did not matter, as long as they were happy, he would not lose anything. Just like this, he followed Ling Yulan into a secret room. Inside was pitch black, and the moment he entered, he could feel a few auras. Chen Xiang and Jingjing are here. And Lingling. Shen Lingling was also a very doting person. He would usually follow Long Huishan, so it was impossible for him to see her often. However, she was also very happy that Ling Yulan was able to get her to come. The dark secret room suddenly lit up. A white figure pounced over. It was Mu Qianxiang, and he was not wearing any clothes. Chen Xiang was immediately stunned. Before he could even react, Mu Qianxiang had already thrown him onto the ground, and the ground was extremely soft. What are you guys doing? Chen Xiang didn't know why, but his body suddenly became powerless, as though he was poisoned. However, he possessed the body of impenetrable, so it would be difficult for him to be poisoned. Only now did he realize that the delicate fragrance was very familiar. It was actually LV Qinlian's love poison. However, he had never known that emotional poison could have this kind of effect. It could make his entire body weak and evil. Brother, hee. Ling Yulan kissed his earlobe, and continued to tease him while Ling Yulan took off her clothes. Little scoundrel. Shen Lingling laughed. She was extremely charming. She was not like this in the past, but she was obviously affected by the goblins. It's over. When Chen Xiang saw the clothes on Dongfang Jing's body sliding down, he sighed in his heart. When he saw Ling Yulan and Mu Qianxiang's tiger-like expressions, he knew that even if he said anything, it would not be able to stop what happened next. Sure enough, Chen Xiang was tormented like this for an entire day and night. The next morning, Chen Xiang took great pains to recover his vitality. He was glad that he managed to cultivate the Dao Ji. Gold body, otherwise it would not be tormenting. All of you are really messing around. Chen Xiang snorted. Acting good even after getting a bargain. Ling Yulan ruthlessly pinched his soft waist. However, this is rather useless for a man like me. If I were to say it out loud, I will be laughed to death. Chen Xiang rolled his eyes at her. All right, we promise not to speak of it, Ling Yulan said while laughing, and then he helped Chen Xiang up. Girls, you're underestimating me too much. I can still leave. Chen Xiang scolded her with a smile. After walking out of the secret room and arriving at the top of the stairs, they had all been busy with their own matters, as if nothing had happened, while Chen Xiang had come to LV Qilian's place. Sister Qinlian, you're here too. Chen Xiang suddenly thought back to yesterday's incident with the love poison. The love poison in Ling Yolan's hands was very strange. He had forgotten to ask even if it made his entire body weak. LV Qinlian's nose wrinkled, as if he had smelled Chen Xiang's scent. His face was also filled with an ambiguous smile, as if he knew something. LV Qilian didn't know, but she already knew about the relations Hi+P between Chen Xiang and LV Qilian, so she didn't say anything. Little scoundrel, were you happy yesterday? LV Qilian smiled and asked. Very happy. Chen Xiang purposely revealed a happy smile. LV Qilian stuck out his tongue at him and then left. Oh right, Sister Qilian, have you guys cultivated the ancient code and mysterious gate yet? Chen Xiang asked. What's wrong? LV Qilian nodded his head. I have long since cultivated it. I am already at the 9th level of the Tao Sovereign, but I am definitely not your mat. That's right, I've already opened all my doors. How many have you opened? Chen Xiang asked again. So it's like that, no wonder your Tao power is so frightening. I can only use this kind of skill for 70% of the time, LV Qilian said as she faintly smiled. I'm not as strong as you. Sister Qilian, do you think that we can change the profound laws here? Chen Xiang said. What I am using is not any ordinary Tao power, but a primitive Tao power. The reason why I am so strong is not only because my profound door is completely open. Chen Xiang picked LV Qilian up and allowed her to cuddle in his embrace. Then, he told LV Qilian about his cultivation situation. After hearing it, LV Qilian immediately understood Chen Xiang's intentions. If he wanted to become stronger, then he would have to change the ancient code's profound door that she had cultivated right now into the primordial profound gate. For you guys, you don't need to be like me, 8 primordial mysterious gates. One is enough, it can allow you to crush your opponents at the same level. Chen Xiang caressed her pretty face and laughed. You are the big sister, so you have to try it yourself. If you succeed, then let your little sisters cultivate first. Return my little sister. Don't think that I don't know that you are secretly eating in my Hundreds of Flowers village. My Hundreds of Flowers village is your big harem. LV Qilian pinched Chen Xiang and pouted. D-A-M. And little scoundrel, I know everything. LV Qilian was taking off Chen Xiang's clothes, but after seeing that Chen Xiang was not taking the initiative anymore, he chuckled. Have you guys been tormented by those girls? Now do you know fear? All right, it's worth it even if I die. Chen Xiang laughed bitterly. Chen Xiang gave LV Qilian quite a few primitive Tao power pills. She wanted to see if she could cultivate a primordial profound gate, and if she succeeded, let her teach Su Meiyao and the others, and then let all the alchemists in the Pill Fragrance Garden learn it. Then, they would be able to extract and refine a large number of primitive Tao power pills on their own, and spread them throughout the entire Heavenly Dragon City. Chen Xiang took out the Emperor's seal from LV Qilian's secret room. If not for Ling Yulan and the rest delaying him, he would have tried to enter the Emperor's seal. Maybe only I can go in and take a look, because I have already fused with the Emperor's seal. Chen Xiang closed his eyes and released a strand of Divine Soul, allowing the Divine Soul to enter the pearl in the middle of the Emperor's seal. After entering, he quickly found the problem. The defense of the outer layer of the crystal is very strong. No wonder Meng Er and the others couldn't enter. It was blocked by a very strong barrier. That barrier must have come from the bead. Chen Xiang guessed, and then he used the white tiger to jump, instantly crossing the barrier. After passing through the barrier, he could clearly feel how powerful that bead was. The golden pearl in front of his eyes was like a huge golden sun, emitting waves of intense light and scorching power. Come in. Suddenly, a voice resonated, causing Chen Xiang to be shocked. His divine soul was almost scattered. C2661. C2661. The moment Chen Xiang heard the voice, he felt a strong suction force from the divine soul. In a flash, he arrived in a world surrounded by golden light. And in this world, he saw a huge green dragon spiraling. Azure Dragon! Chen Xiang could not help but shout out in alarm. He was not unfamiliar with the Azure Dragon, but the Azure Dragon in front of him was not something he was familiar with. Inside the Heavenly Dragon City there was an Azure Dragon. He had seen it before and was very familiar with it. Not bad, looks like you've already seen the Azure Dragon before. His voice was loud, clear and full of dignity, greatly different from the Heavenly Dragon City's Azure Dragon. Senior, why are there so many green dragons? One of them is alive, the other has already turned into a set of divine soul, fusing with my second divine sense C, using it as its own existence. As long as it was a four-sided divine beast, there would be no ill intentions. Chen Xiang had always been on good terms with these divine beasts. This is the natural law principles. We are all heavenly beasts. As long as natural law principles exists in this world, there will be us heavenly beast. As the green dragon spoke, his Ma's Civ body suddenly flashed with a green light, before turning into a burly, middle-aged man dressed in green. It was just as Lu Menger and the others had guessed. There was indeed something sealed inside the Emperor's seal. Of course, the other world's green dragons are all created based on my model. It can be said that they are all my replicas. My power has already been integrated into the natural law principles, so as long as a new world is born, heavenly beast will naturally be born. The green dragon said. Chen Xiang had already thought of something. This Emperor's seal was obtained from the primitive land. There was a high possibility that this green dragon was the most primitive one. Senior, you are a green dragon? Chen Xiang asked. That's right. Then, is it sealed? Chen Xiang asked again. Yes, sir. F. Chen Xiang was shocked. Such a strong being was sealed. Who sealed him? Myself. The Azure Dragon's words stunned Chen Xiang. He couldn't understand why he would seal himself like this. Seeing Chen Xiang's astonished expression, the Azure Dragon laughed. You must be very surprised. Chen Xiang hurriedly nodded. The heavenly Tao is ruthless. In the future, you will understand. In short, you are my new master now, so you have to use me well. The green dragon patted Chen Xiang's shoulder. I hope you can do more than I do. Senior, can you tell me more about Divine Wasteland? Chen Xiang asked. You haven't gone to Divine Wasteland yet? Even though the Azure Dragon was inside, he didn't know what was going on outside and was completely isolated from the outside world. Chen Xiang shook his head. I'm still in Natural Law Divine Realm. I was able to pick you up from there. The green dragon listened and nodded. In the Divine Wasteland there are 3 horizons. The strongest is the Heavenly Tao. The Heavenly Tao is the 3,000 worlds, and the world you live in is also only one of the 3,000 worlds. The second strongest is the Way of the Sword. Although the Way of the Sword does not control any world, the Way of the Sword is spread throughout every world, mainly promoting the Way of the Sword, so the Way of the Sword is very strong in the Divine Wasteland. As long as there is someone in the 3,000 worlds who cultivates the Way of the Sword, then the power of the Way of the Sword in the Divine Wasteland will be even stronger. The third path is the weakest, which is also the primordial Tao. It governs a mystical region, which is the primitive land, which is to say, protects the most primitive region. There are only a few people in the original Tao, but all of them are very strong. Not even the Heavenly Tao or the Sword Tao dare to contend against them. Chen Xiang suddenly thought of the guardian God he had met in Primitive Land. It was obvious that he was one of the members of the original Tao. Then, Senior, what is your path? Chen Xiang asked. I belonged to the original Tao, and joined the heavenly Tao later on. That was my biggest mistake, so I sealed myself in order to repent. The Azure Dragon sighed helplessly. Why did you make the wrong decision to join the Heaven's Path? Chen Xiang did not understand. It's not that the heavenly Tao is bad, it's just that as someone in charge of the natural law world, he sometimes faces too many helpless decisions. In order to maintain the stability of a world, you sometimes have to kill trillions of lives or watch trillions of lives die tragically without being able to save them. Of course, this is better. Some, in order to obtain power, want to kill one another and in the end enter evil. The words of the Green Dragon caused Chen Xiang to sink into deep thought. Later on, he recalled that the current natural law Divine Lord had obviously fallen victim to evil, but of course, he was not clear about this. If you only enter the divine wasteland and do not plan to join the Tao, that is nothing. If you join the heavenly Tao, then you must be careful. Sometimes, I feel that the heavenly Tao is the evil way, the demonic way. The Green Dragon said. I will remember it. Chen Xiang said. When the time comes, I can join the way of the sword, or original Tao. The Azure Dragon laughed. That's not a bad idea. It's just that it's very difficult to join in the path of the sword, and the requirements of the original Tao are even more harsh. So, many people originally entered the path of the sword with hope, but in the end, they were unable to enter due to various difficulties, and when they entered the original Tao, they were rejected at the door. In order to obtain power and an eternal life, they had no choice but to join the heavenly Tao without a threshold. Chen Xiang did not expect the sword Tao and original Tao to be such an existence. No wonder the heavenly Tao was so powerful. Then, Senior, why did you join the heavenly Tao in the past? Isn't it good for you to be in original Tao? Chen Xiang asked. The main reason is that I couldn't resist the temptation. I thirsted for power. At that time, even though I was strong, the original Tao's techniques could no longer satisfy me, so I entered the heavenly Tao and was struck off the list by the original Tao. The Azure Dragon sighed again. The divine wasteland has the 4 great sacred arts, of which the heavenly Tao only has 2. These are the heavenly alchemy and the heavenly spirit kung fu. Chen Xiang's heart skipped a beat. This was actually the heaven's way of cultivation. No wonder everyone had the word heaven. And that belongs to the original Tao, the G.O.D. murdering sword techniques at this time in the way of the sword. Chen Xiang suddenly wanted to laugh, because he had all these mystical techniques, but to his surprise, the 6 realms magic kung fu was actually related to the original Tao. All those years ago, because he specialized in the heavenly alchemy, he set the 6 realms magic kung fu aside. He felt that in the future it would be necessary for him to carefully study the 6 realms magic kung fu, so he might be able to unleash the powerful primitive Tao power in his body. But many years after I entered the heavenly Tao, I found out that the heavenly alchemy and the heavenly spirit kung fu were lost. At the same time, many strange things happened, and the 6 realms magic kung fu was lost as well. And I only learned a little bit. The same goes for the G.O.D. murdering sword techniques. No one possesses a complete G.O.D. murdering sword techniques. The Azure Dragon's face was full of doubt. This is something that I still don't understand. C 2662. C 2662. The 4 great taboo magic S that Chen Xiang himself possessed were all complete, and the fact that these taboo magic S were all able to spread to these realms made him very suspicious. Maybe the 3 upper echelons purposely left out the complete version. Chen Xiang said. Maybe so. In short, there must be a reason behind it. Even though I am curious, in order to punish myself, it is impossible for me to leave this place. If you have the chance in the future, you can investigate this matter. The Green Dragon said. Chen Xiang was also extremely curious about the creation of the taboo magic. Oh right, how did you find me? What kind of thing am I now? The Azure Dragon asked. This. You have been made into a seal called the Emperor Seal. Chen Xiang said. I can use this seal to release a very powerful force. So that's how it is. You must have just gotten your hands on it, for in this period of time I felt my powers being drawn out more frequently. Chen Xiang never thought that this was actually drawing out the power of the Azure Dragon. Much? Chen Xiang wanted to understand the degree of usage of this seal. If it was drawn frequently, the power would decrease and it would go wrong at critical moment. It's not that much. In short, based on the previous time you used it, you could drain my power with 1,000 or so tries. Maybe you do not have enough strength yet, but if you inject enough power, you will be able to drain my power with a single blow. The Green Dragon said. Previously, Chen Xiang had used it to kill Jinan and the evil dragon Holy King. That kind of power was indeed very terrifying, and being able to use that kind of power 1,000 times, Chen Xiang could roughly estimate the strength of this green dragon. After drawing it all at once, wouldn't that power be terrifying? The last time Chen Xiang had used it, he hadn't done his best either. My power is not only able to be used to trigger explosive attack. You can also use it as a support, allowing my power to flow throughout your body. Combined with your own power, that is also possible. You must understand how to use it flexibly. The Green Dragon said. Chen Xiang nodded his head. Previously, he thought that he could only use the seal to attack directly. He did not expect that he could even borrow the power inside. He wasn't planning to use it unless he had no other choice. Senior, how did you seal yourself in the end? It looks just like a pill. Chen Xiang said. That's right, pill forging. I just refined myself. As for who was it that got to later on, I'm not too clear about that, because no one has ever broken through that barrier before. The Green Dragon said. The corner of Chen Xiang's mouth twitched. He had actually refined his own pill. From a certain point of view, this could also be considered a very high-leveled pill technique. This means that Senior must have a very profound skill in alchemy. S eyes lit up. In natural law world, his pill techniques were unrivaled. Therefore, in terms of communication, he did not have any good targets. So-called experts are lonely. Since this green dragon was able to refine him into a pill, he must be very knowledgeable in alchemy. Even if it wasn't the powerful alchemist, he must have a very good understanding of the alchemy in the divine wasteland. Right now, the highest level of pills Chen Xiang was refining was only high-grade Emperor stage. He knew about the existence of natural law Dan, but he had never seen it before. Of course, when I entered the heavenly Tao and learned the heavenly alchemy, I learned how to refine pills. The Azure Dragon recalled the past. His face was full of happiness, and one could tell that he had been very carefree during that period of time. Other than the 3 main paths above Divine Wasteland, there are also other small paths, such as the Path of Fist, the Path of Soul, Martial Arts, Dharma, and so on. In addition to all of these, there is also a unique Tao, which is the Tao of Alchemy. The Azure Dragon said, the Tao of Alchemy is an extremely mysterious existence in Divine Wasteland. Mysterious? Could it be that there are not many alchemists above the Divine Wasteland? Chen Xiang asked. Although he had simulated the memories of a few strong of Divine Wasteland as before, there wasn't much of this in those memories, and he didn't even know 3 of them. It was clear that they were the kind of people who didn't go out often since they were young. Of course there are a lot of alchemists above. Many who know how to refine pills, and even some who can refine many good pills all claim to have joined the Tao of Alchemy. However, they don't even know where the Tao of Alchemy is. The Green Dragon said, Senior, do you know where the Tao of Alchemy is located? Chen Xiang never thought that the Tao pills were like this in the Divine Wasteland. I don't know either, but I've seen alchemists with orthodox alchemy skills. Hehe, he's a real alchemist, he's completely different from us. The charm that they displayed when refining pills cannot be described with words. In short, they are very strong, and it makes me, who have been refining pills for many years, feel ashamed. The Green Dragon said. This made Qin Xiang yearn for the Tao pills above Divine Wasteland even more. He wanted to experience them for himself. Senior, can you refine natural law dans? What's that like? Qin Xiang had never seen it before. The highest quality he had refined was the Taoist Emperor Dan. After all, it was a crash. Of course I can refine natural law Dan. In fact, natural law Dan were not the highest level of profound prac. 1 Tioniers in the Divine Wasteland. You'll know when you go to Divine Wasteland in the future. Right now, I don't have any medicinal ingredients nor any pills on hand, and I don't even know how to explain it to you. The Green Dragon replied. Moreover, I'll need at least a year to concoct a batch of pills. It would be quite boring for you to stay here. Why did he take so long to refine a batch of natural law Dan? This made Qin Xiang puzzled, because he didn't need that long to refine so many crash Taoist Emperor Dan. Of course, he currently did not understand natural law dans, so he did not know how long he would need to refine them. Qin Xiang chatted with the Green Dragon for a while before he left. This gave him a lot of benefits, allowing him to understand the situation in the Divine Wasteland and the secrets within the Emperor's Seal. After Qin Xiang left the Emperor's Seal, he felt the ground gently tremble. He hurriedly walked out of the secret room. He did not see LV Qilian, but he saw the pet. 1T and lovely little Lizzie. Little Lizzie, long time no see. Qin Xiang chuckled, and then walked over and rubbed little Lizzie's exquisite oval face. Little Lizzie slapped his hands away and said, There's a fight outside. Qilian told me to wait here for you to come out. Quickly go out and take a look. Originally, Qin Xiang wanted to tease little Lizzie a little, but after learning that there was a battle outside, he became serious. Is it outside the city gate? Qin Xiang asked. It's a Dao God expert of the Heaven Wasteland aristocratic family. The great landlord is outside. Now that all of our heavenly dragon cities rankers have been mobilized, the war outside is extremely intense. Little Lizzie said anxiously. She was also in the War God team and was anxious to go out and fight. All right, let's go take a look now. Qin Xiang held little Lizzie's jade hand and teleported outside the city. C-2663. C-2663. Just as they arrived outside, a large wave of sand and dust swept over and engulfed them within. At the same time, violent gusts of wind accompanied the unceasing lightning strike. I'm going to meet up with the White Phoenix, little Lizzie said to Qin Xiang. Be careful. Little Lizzie was also a woman that he liked a lot. Back then, many things had happened between him and little Lizzie. You have to be careful yourself. Little Lizzie gently warned him. After little Lizzie left, Qin Xiang immediately sensed his presence and went to look for the Great Landlord. Great Landlord, what's going on? Qin Xiang transmitted to the Great Landlord. This should be the order of natural law Divine Lord. If not, Heaven Wasteland aristocratic family would not go all out. Other than that, there are still some remnants of the evil God mountain. The Great Landlord replied, Of course these are not the strongest. I am more worried about the Celestial Squad right now. Hearing this name, Qin Xiang knew that this was a very strong killing array. Where is the Celestial Squad? Qin Xiang anxiously asked. I'll go get it. I don't know. I just sensed a trace of an aura, and this Celestial Squad is circulating. If we don't stop it, the true Heavenly Dragon City will be destroyed. Or even the entire natural law world. The Great Landlord's voice was filled with fear. Don't they know about the Heaven Wasteland aristocratic family? Are they still fighting here? If that formation is activated, they will die as well. Qin Xiang was panicking. Such a powerful killing array, if he did not stop it, even if he managed to survive, the people here would all die. They definitely know, but the natural law Divine Lord must have promised them that he would protect them before the gate opened. The great landlord said, "Right now I'm being held up by these 3 Dao Gods. Quickly think of a way to destroy the celestial squad, or else we'll all be dead." Chen Xiang had originally planned to have a big battle here, but now he had more important things to do, so he quickly teleported to the Hundreds of Flowers village and went to Xue Xianxian's small villa. "Isn't there a great battle outside?" Xue Xianxian asked. "Do you want to borrow the array disc?" "No, it's big trouble." At this time, Chen Xiang was also very nervous, because he did not know when the celestial squad would open, and anxiously said, "Great Landlord said that a very powerful celestial squad is opening, but I do not know when it will attack. That celestial squad is extremely terrifying, it can exterminate the entire natural law world." Hearing Chen Xiang's words, and seeing how nervous Chen Xiang and the rest were, Xue Xianxian and the rest felt the same way. They had a deep understanding of formations, so they believed that it was not a lie. As long as there was enough energy to maintain the operation of the Great Formation, destroying a world was not an empty thing. It was something that could happen very easily. "Do you have any way of finding where the celestial squad is?" Chen Xiang anxiously asked, while at the same time, Xue Xianxian, Dongfang Xinyue and Dongfang Jing took out a disc. On it was a golden pointer. The needle was spinning rapidly. Lu Menger said, "Usually, if you want to destroy the entire natural law world, there are only 2 places that can be used as the core of the formation, namely the core of the earth and the core of the sky." Of course, the great landlord himself might not know. He only sensed the movement caused by the circulation of the celestial squad, and was not necessarily aiming to destroy the world, but it is definitely aimed at the heavenly dragon city. Lu Menger was very calm at the moment. She looked at Xue Xianxian and the others and said, "Right now, they are using the 3 perception discs to locate the location of the celestial squad." Su Yuqing also closed her eyes at this time, and used her unique power of curse to sense the surroundings. "Relax, we still have time. The celestial squad still needs to store energy, and this process will take a while. Furthermore, during the process of storing energy, no matter how well you hide, there will still be movement." Lu Menger saw that Chen Xiang was nervous and immediately said. Chen Xiang nodded. Lu Menger continued, "The formation plates Xianxian and the others are using can feel the formation array that is currently circulating between heaven and earth. If there really is a formation that is capable of destroying the world operating, it means that the formation is absorbing a great amount of energy from the heaven and earth. It must be detected by the 3 formation plates above." Chen Xiang could only see that the pointers on the 3 formation plates were spinning rapidly, but they would occasionally pause. Lu Menger held his hand tightly, letting him calm down while he stared at the 3 array disc. Not long later, the golden needle of the 3 formation discs suddenly stopped, pointing in the same direction. "Have you confirmed the location?" Lu Menger asked. "I've confirmed. That killing formation has already been in operation for an hour. It is located high up in the sky and is quite far from here. However, once it is completely activated, this place will definitely be destroyed." Dongfang Xinyue said, "Take it. We have already set up the array disc. As long as you follow the needle, it will be fine. If the 3 array discs don't have the same pointer." Right after Dongfang Xinyue finished speaking, with a wave of his hand, Chen Xiang called them into the Yu Yao mountain villa, and then teleported in that direction. "Can you determine the direction of the array disc inside?" Chen Xiang asked. "All right. As long as you approach that place, the array disc in our hands will have a great reaction. When we leave, we'll be able to determine where we're at," Lu Menger said. Chen Xiang followed the direction he was moving in and teleported more than 10 times. Xue Xianxian, who was inside the Yu Yao mountain villa, anxiously shouted, "It's near here. There are 3 guys of the Dao God stage here. Don't come out yet," Chen Xiang said in a serious tone, We'll talk about it after I get rid of them. Chen Xiang said that he wanted to get rid of the Dao God stage experts, and the three of them at that. This caused Xue Xianxian and the other girls to be extremely shocked, thinking that Chen Xiang actually had such strength. No, there's something wrong with the three auras. They're fighting right now. Chen Xiang was shocked. He never thought that there would be people fighting here. Who is it? The only people with the Dao God cultivation were the great landlord, Elder Wan, and elder sister Xiaoling. Could it be? Chen Xiang already had an answer in his heart. The one fighting here was the heaven-poisoned divine spirit, Du Xiaoling. Du Xiaoling's divine aura was normally very weak, to the point of it not leaking out, so Chen Xiang was not very familiar with it, but he still had a little impression of it, and was able to feel Du Xiaoling's aura just now. Chen Xiang immediately teleported over, and at the same time, used the counterpower to make himself invisible. Du Xiaoling was definitely fighting with someone else, and going over silently was definitely the most advantageous thing. Just as he walked over, Chen Xiang heard a cold shout. "Little sister, you've betrayed our father." It was a woman's voice. Chen Xiang was shocked that Du Xiaoling actually had a father. He had thought that Du Xiaoling was a little special at first, although she was a pet. And cute girl that looked gentle and kind, she knew a lot more than Yuan Feng, the proper natural law divine spirit. So Du Xiaoling had always been very mysterious in Chen Xiang's eyes. C2664. C2664. Elder sister Xiaoling has a father? Who is her father? Chen Xiang asked in his heart. He had already seen Du Xiaoling. She was currently floating in mid-air, facing the palms of two average-looking white-clothed women. One look was enough to tell that Du Xiaoling was being suppressed. It was 1 against 2, and those two women looked stronger than Du Xiaoling, as if they had a way to suppress Du Xiaoling's poison. Otherwise, Du Xiaoling wouldn't use his own strength to fight against them, he would definitely use poison. I have never seen a father who uses such despicable means against his own daughter. After having controlled my soul for so many years, wasn't it enough for him to harm me? All these years, it's been like I'm living in hell. Du Xiaoling's voice was filled with anger. Chen Xiang had already guessed who Du Xiaoling's father was, to actually be natural law divine lord. So what? He gave birth to you, so if he wants you to die, you have to die. Furthermore, you are still alive right now, and you even obtained such powerful strength. A lady in white said coldly. Stop talking nonsense. You and I both know this very well. I don't have any blood relation to him at all. It can be seen from my personality. Du Xiaoling said, since I was young, I have never admitted that he was my father. He clearly knows that I don't like to do things, yet he let me do them on purpose. He even wanted to kill me time and time again. I instead feel that I'm the daughter of his enemy, and treating me like this. Of course, you are his daughters. Your characters are very similar, and he is very good to all of you. Otherwise, they would have left you here and tortured you for countless years. Humph. The two lady in white's hearts were enraged. They instantly used force. Du Xiaoling's mouth revealed traces of blood. Although it was a clash of palms, it was a test of one's own Dao power. Du Xiaoling versus 2, obviously much weaker. Even if I die, don't even think about leaving. How about I make a bet with you guys and see if your father can open the Celestial Squad? Du Xiaoling suddenly revealed a smile. Do you think you can still leave? Even though I am unable to defeat all of you, I can still delay you for a period of time. Quickly stop. A lady in white felt her palm holding Du Xiaoling tightly together, and furthermore, her entire body could not move. She could only circulate the energy in her body to fight Du Xiaoling. What is it? Anxious? You guys know how ruthless that guy is, right? Du Xiaoling laughed. Didn't you say that earlier? Even if he wants you to die, you have to die obediently. What he said just now was so nice, why are you afraid now? In the face of death, who wouldn't be afraid? Especially someone with such a top-notch strength and high status, he was extremely afraid of death. Elder Sister Xiaoling, how do I make my move? Chen Xiang sent a sound transmission to Du Xiaoling. He did not want to be buried alongside the two daughters of the natural law Divine Lord, not to mention that there were so many people in the heavenly dragon city. Just use your sword to look at their heads. Du Xiaoling replied with a light smile. I knew you would come, that's why I dragged them out. You didn't let me down. Hee, Elder Sister Xiaoling, you are also crafty now. Chen Xiang laughed. He was already behind the two women. Was I stupid in your eyes before? Du Xiaoling said. Chen Xiang, who was using the counter-power invisibility, was not discovered in the slightest, and even Du Xiaoling did not know where he was located. This caused Du Xiaoling to be extremely shocked. Stupid girl, hurry. A white-clothed female had her head chopped off by Chen Xiang before she could finish speaking. Chen Xiang had chopped off 2 heads at once, and threw them into the chuangs. Hi+G-O-D furnace. Du Xiaoling bellowed, her palms surging with scorching power, burning the 2 bodies. Elder Sister Xiaoling, you aren't stupid at all. You're cute, beautiful, and very smart. Chen Xiang laughed. Little scoundrel, don't try to be mean with me. I have stayed in Hundreds of Flowers village for so many years, so I know that you have done many good deeds. Du Xiaoling laughed. I really didn't expect you to be so daring in my little house. Chen Xiang immediately coughed twice. How do I get rid of the celestial squad? Du Xiaoling looked up in the sky and fiercely struck out with his palm into the air. A streak of white light flashed out and struck the thick clouds that covered the entire sky. The white light struck the clouds, causing them to explode. The thick clouds were also scattered by the power. All right. Just as Du Xiaoling finished speaking, his expression changed. Nothing's good, the clouds have gathered again. Chen Xiang immediately let Xue Xianxian and the others out. It really is the celestial squad. Xue Xianxian's expression became serious. Do you know how to break it? At this time, the clouds are already gray. If it is completely black, then the power of annihilation will descend. As long as the area is covered by the black clouds, all living beings will be slaughtered. Du Xiaoling was also getting anxious. The core of the formation isn't here. We're just very close to it right now. Lu Meng'er said. Where is the heart of the formation? Du Xiaoling looked around. Separated by ASP, AC. The core of the array is hidden in that SP, AC, and that is also where the base of the array is. If the base and core of the array is not destroyed, then the destructive power will continue to condense. Xue Xianxian looked at Chen Xiang. Husband, you know about the power of SP, AC. I'll try. Chen Xiang immediately gave it a try, closed his eyes, and released a powerful spatial energy to investigate. A moment later, he opened his eyes. I sensed it. There is a barrier around that SP, AC. If we were to attack from outside, I'm afraid that it would not be easy to destroy it. Then enter. You will definitely be able to enter that SP, AC, right? Du Xiaoling said. Chen Xiang nodded his head. I will go in first. If I am unable to solve it myself, I will come out to look for you guys. With that, he used the white tiger to jump in, causing Lu Meng'er to stomp her feet in anger. Of course she knew that Chen Xiang would go in by himself, but she was also worried that some accident might happen to them. Chen Xiang entered the SPAC used to lay the array foundation. Upon entering, a powerful force attacked him, and just as he felt the qi, his entire body was in extreme pain. The current his physical body was already strong enough, but just that aura alone was enough to cause intense pain to his entire body. From this, it could be seen how powerful that energy was. So powerful! Chen Xiang hurriedly took out his 6 realms mirrors to protect himself. You are Chen Xiang, right? After cultivating the heavenly alchemy, you should have a complete heavenly alchemy. After a voice was transmitted over, a middle-aged man dressed in black appeared in front of Chen Xiang. The middle-aged man emitted a black qi. He looked very similar to the black hair's human. Who are you? Chen Xiang took a few steps back. This person's aura was extremely scary and was filled with an evil aura which filled Chen Xiang's heart with fear. Who am I? I am the natural law divine lord. The middle-aged man sneered. Of course, this is only one of my clones. Do you suddenly feel that you're very insignificant? C 2665. C 2665. Chen Xiang looked at the middle-aged man. A burst of fear involuntarily rose in his heart. The fact that the natural law divine lord's clone was here meant that the celestial squad was set up by him. Just now, didn't you see me kill your 2 daughters? Chen Xiang suddenly asked. The powerful clone of the natural law divine lord was inside. He must be able to see what was happening outside. Of course. I am very angry that you killed them, but they will not die in vain. I will soon send you down to meet them. Natural law divine lord only laughed sinisterly, his entire being devoid of emotion. Indeed, it was as Du Shaoling had said. All these so-called children were merely tools in the eyes of the natural law divine lord. What? Are you trying to say that I have no feelings for you? Natural law divine lord seemed to be able to hear what Chen Xiang was thinking. Isn't it? Chen Xiang clenched his fists tightly. He had told himself that he must not continue to be afraid, otherwise, he would not even have the strength to fight, and his fighting spirit would be extinguished. Feelings. What was the use of such a thing? I can't become stronger either. Previously, it was precisely because of this that I was tied down by this that I suffered many setbacks and suffered great pain. Now that I've abandoned this kind of thing, my strength has gotten stronger and stronger. Natural law divine lord suddenly laughed out wildly. It seems like you are someone who has feelings for others, so you have a lot of weaknesses. The celestial squad will open very soon, and you are unable to leave this place. Once the celestial squad opens, all of your friends and relatives will die, haha. Yet you survived. This caused his heart to be extremely worried. If he was unable to stop the circulation of the celestial squad, then all his friends and family members around him would all die. What is it? Is it painful to think of them dying? Seeing Chen Xiang's expression, natural law divine lord laughed again. You should have your own beloved woman, but they died very quickly. Why are you doing this? Chen Xiang asked coldly. You are the natural law divine lord, and you are the one in charge of this world. Why are you destroying this world now? This world has lost control, so I have to destroy it before creating a new world that I can completely control. Although it has lost control, I have to say that this world is developing very well, but this is of no use to me. I cannot draw strength from it. Natural law divine lord's expression changed, becoming incomparably sinister. You brought this upon yourselves. Of course, if you want me to stop this celestial squad, there is still another possibility, and that is to hand over all of the heavenly alchemy. Hand over the heavenly alchemy, then we can stop the celestial squad. I have to say, Chen Xiang was indeed tempted just now. However, he did not believe that the natural law divine lord, even if he were to hand over the heavenly alchemy, the natural law divine lord would definitely continue to operate the celestial squad. Because he had just said that this world was not under his control, he wanted to destroy it. Will feelings really become my shackles? Is it really painful for me? Chen Xiang asked himself in his heart. When he was young, his father encouraged him and helped him. Even though he couldn't cultivate, he was very encouraging to him, and there was also Xue Xianxian, who never left him, even if he was Traz. Plus he also met his friends and loved ones who grew up with him. They had walked the same path with him for many years, filling up his life. In order for them to not be harmed, he continued to grow stronger. No, feelings are what motivates me. Suddenly, Chen Xiang's second divine sense jolted, and the days of heavenly beast began to howl. I still have the second divine sense. Chen Xiang, who was originally afraid of the natural law divine lord, suddenly had high fighting spirit. His second divine sense did not allow him to fear the ruthless heavenly Tao in front of him. People without emotions should not be able to withstand a single blow from him. They shouldn't be afraid. What, have you thought it through? This is the only path you can take now, and you should know it well enough. The natural law divine lord said. Yes. Chen Xiang's current fear had completely disappeared. As he spoke, his face even had a hint of a faint smile, and this caused natural law divine lord to be unable to fathom what he had just heard. Then, hand over the heavenly alchemy, the natural law divine lord said. No. Oh? Didn't you think it through? This is your only path. Do you want to see your family and friends die? Natural law divine lord frowned, the aura around his body becoming even stronger. I have another way. Chen Xiang sensed the powerful aura coming from that person, but he was still not afraid. This caused natural law divine lord to be secretly shocked. What other way do you have? Natural law divine lord felt that something was amiss. Just kill you, Chen Xiang said. Ha ha! When the natural law divine lord heard him, he raised his head and laughed loudly. You puny little human, you want to kill me, a high and mighty natural law divine lord? Even if this is just a clone of mine, it would be easy for me to kill you with a raise of my hand, yet you want to kill me? Of course, this is indeed another path. However, I am unable to take it, ha ha. Give up and quickly hand over the heavenly alchemy. It will be completed very soon. The celestial squad was indeed still in circulation, continuously condensing its energy. Chen Xiang had to make the best use of his time. Just as natural law divine lord was laughing loudly, Chen Xiang suddenly attacked. His left arm flashed with a white light and suddenly, a whistling sound came out, filled with killing intent. Natural law divine lord felt the killing intent, and knew that Chen Xiang was serious. Just as he was about to teach Chen Xiang a lesson, his chest suddenly felt pain, and Chen Xiang instantly appeared in front of him. Roar! Chen Xiang's fist made contact with natural law divine lord's chest. The tiger's roar exploded, releasing a burst of black killing intent that pierced through natural law divine lord's chest, and came out from his back. You! Get lost! Natural law divine lord was immediately enraged as the aura around him exploded, sending Chen Xiang flying. At the same time there was a bloody hole on his chest. Although Chen Xiang had created a big hole in his body, natural law divine lord was not injured at all, and the bloody hole was still slowly being repaired. Azure Dragon, White Tiger. When natural law divine lord saw Chen Xiang's arm go white and blue, he was immediately surprised. I never thought that you would actually cultivate such a powerful thing. Natural law divine lord laughed coldly, her eyes suddenly flashed, releasing 2 rays of light that transformed into 2 fire dragons that rushed out and wrapped Chen Xiang up in the blink of an eye. Don't worry. I won't kill you, but I will torture you well. After natural law divine lord finished speaking, Chen Xiang's body trembled, and an azure light exploded out of his right arm. C-2666. C-2666 Natural law divine lord never thought that Chen Xiang would be able to struggle free from his power. Your clone isn't that strong. As Chen Xiang spoke, he had already appeared behind the natural law divine lord, and a small seal appeared on his right arm that was glowing with a green light. That's the Emperor's seal. Just as he took out the Emperor's seal, the 6 heavenly beasts of the second divine sense suddenly roared in unison and started absorbing the energy released by Chen Xiang's ancient code and mysterious gate. Chen Xiang controlled the profound door to continuously surge out primitive Tao power S, and then, through the 10 levels of profound doors, it strengthened and transformed. Finally, it flowed into the second divine sense C, and was absorbed by the heavenly beast within the second divine sense C. The heavenly beast was absorbing the converted primitive Tao power, becoming exceptionally strong, and Chen Xiang controlled the heavenly beast to attach itself to his body. In this way, he would be able to obtain even stronger power. Currently, he possessed the body of a 6 beasts, and with the addition of the Emperor's seal, his power would be extremely terrifying. The azure dragon inside the Emperor's seal had said, the stronger one's own strength was, the more they would be able to unleash the might of the Emperor's seal. When Natural Law Divine Lord saw the seal, he could not help but be shocked, as if he knew the origins of the seal. This is the Emperor's seal. When the Natural Law Divine Lord finished speaking, a green light surged out of Chen Xiang's Emperor's seal, and with a sound of the green dragon howler, it instantly pierced through the Natural Law Divine Lord's body. Boom! The SPAC was torn apart, and the celestial squad was destroyed. Boom! At the same time as the SPAC was torn apart, the Emperor Seal's power continued to rampage, sending Chen Xiang flying. As for the Natural Law Divine Lord, when he was struck by the power, he had already been torn to shreds. The 6 beasts' power cannot be easily used. Chen Xiang was sent flying, and both his divine sense C and body suffered heavy injuries. This was also the result of him using the 6 beasts' power by force. His flesh was the most severely injured, and all the bones in his body were shattered. Du Shaoling and the others waited outside for a while, before feeling the SPAC shattering. Then, a burst of green light flashed and Chen Xiang flew out at that time. Chen Xiang is injured. Du Shaoling could feel that Chen Xiang's qi was very weak. She immediately flew over and caught the injured Chen Xiang. At this time, Chen Xiang was also unconscious. What exactly happened inside? Why is he so injured? Xue Xianxian saw that all the skin on Chen Xiang's body had been ripped apart. His heart aching, he bit his lip. Du Shaoling also took out some medicinal liquid and applied it onto Chen Xiang's body. When it exploded a moment ago, she sensed a familiar aura, so she wasn't sure if it was real or not. It's a good thing that he has a strong recovery ability. His life is fine, but it will take a long time for him to recover completely. Du Xiaoling's medicinal liquid quickly recovered the wounds on his skin and muscles, while the injuries on his body slowly recovered. Without the threat of the celestial squad, Du Shaoling was much more at ease. I will follow you back to the Hundreds of Flowers village. Du Shaoling, Xue Xianxian and the others brought Chen Xiang back to the Hundreds of Flowers village, then called Feng Yujie and the others over to let them refine the finished healing pellet so Chen Xiang could recover quickly. Following that, Du Shaoling also left Heavenly Dragon City to partake 1p8 in the battle. Du Shaoling was very strong, and adding that she had used poison, it was even more terrifying. With her help, it made many people feel much more relaxed. The unconscious Chen Xiang was currently in the second divine sense C, looking at the 6 beasts, feeling very upset in his heart. It seems that I still overestimated myself and easily used your power, Chen Xiang said. Actually, with your current level of strength, you can be considered to be very strong. We've also become stronger because we devoured your power that was too strong, but your body couldn't bear it. The green dragon said. Alright, looks like I'll have to continue strengthening my physical body in the future. Chen Xiang looked at the green dragon and laughed. He had 2 green dragons on him, one of them was the primordial azure dragon, and the one in the divine sense C, the one in the other generation, was also very strong. Although Chen Xiang did not partake 1p8 in the battle outside, he made the celestial squad stop working and even engaged the Natural Law Divine Lord's avatar to kill him. His battle was the most important thing, otherwise, the natural law world would be destroyed. Sigh, I need to sleep for now. I don't know when my body will be able to recover, and my soul will be severely damaged. I need to be careful next time. Chen Xiang closed his eyes as his soul slept within the second Divine Sense C. Divine Sense C, who was sleeping, suddenly smelled a sweet smell. When he opened his eyes, he discovered that he was immersed in a bath, and the water was bright gold. Waves of faint golden mist leaked out from the water. So comfortable! Chen Xiang gasped in admiration. At this time, he looked through the golden mist and saw two beautiful faces. Shuang! And there's even a beautiful immortal! Chen Xiang could not help but be shocked, and they had both closed their eyes now. They were soaking together with him here, and they were not wearing clothes, their upper bodies exposed. Ji Meixian possessed the bloodline of the undying bird, and Xue Ying was a phoenix, so both of them had extremely strong regenerative abilities in their blood. Chen Xiang immediately understood what was going on. In order to let him recover a little stronger, they had teamed up to help him heal his injuries. You're finally awake. Shuang suddenly opened his eyes, laughed softly, and then threw himself into Chen Xiang's embrace. Ji Meixian also opened his eyes and smiled at Chen Xiang. After that, he got up and was about to walk out of the bath, but he was stopped by Chen Xiang. What are you doing? Ji Meixian's heart suddenly jumped. She knew Chen Xiang's character, and she had also done many intimate things with him before. Those were her sweet memories. It's already like this, do you still want to leave? Chen Xiang laughed and suddenly pulled Ji Meixian over. You don't remember? You were once my little maid, come, serve your master well. Ji Meixian was brought over by Chen Xiang, and he felt a hand roaming around her body randomly, causing her face to turn red. Shuang patted Chen Xiang's head and pouted. Little scoundrel, you've only just recovered and you're already playing tricks on me. It was you guys who helped me recover, so I have to thank all of you. Chen Xiang laughed sinisterly. Just like this, Xue Ying and Ji Meixian began to entangle themselves in the bath. 4 hours later, Chen Xiang and the two girls finished dressing and walked out of the bathroom, only to see Du Shaoling sitting in the hall. Elder sister Shaoling, why are you here? When Chen Xiang thought back to how there was such a big commotion in the bathroom, his face reddened. He did not expect Du Shaoling to be outside. Xue Ying and Ji Meixian's faces were also flushed red. This is my territory, of course I'm here. Du Shaoling laughed tenderly. You guys no shame too. Du Shaoling walked over and pointed at Chen Xiang's head with the jade. You little scoundrel, you always like to do this kind of thing in my place. This. I don't know. Chen Xiang scratched his head and laughed. Elder sister Shaoling, I'm sorry, I didn't want to invite you to join, I made you angry. You little scoundrel. Du Shaoling snorted and stomped her foot on Chen Xiang. C-2667. C-2667. Xue Ying and Ji Meixian couldn't help but laugh coquettishly as they held each other's hand and quickly walked out of the small hall. Du Shaoling stuck his tongue out at Chen Xiang, then asked him to sit down. After sitting down, Chen Xiang asked, Elder sister Shaoling, how long have I been unconscious for? It's only been a little more than 10 years. Du Shaoling poured something for Chen Xiang to drink. It's been more than 10 years. Chen Xiang was shocked, and immediately drank the black wine to suppress his shock. I'm fine. If not for those two girls, it might have taken even longer for you to recover. Du Shaoling said, Those girls from Hundreds of Flowers Village are worried to death about you, little scoundrel. Chen Xiang chuckled. Elder sister Shaoling, you must be worried about me too. Of course Du Shaoling was worried, but she didn't admit it. No, it's just that Qinlian and Ziqian are always bothering me, telling me to think of a way. Oh right, Chen Xiang, what happened inside that caused you to be injured so badly? I've examined your body carefully, but I never thought that your body would be so strong, much stronger than mine, yet you still received such injuries. Du Shaoling was very curious about this. Du Shaoling asked Chen Xiang seriously, but Chen Xiang laughed mischievously. Elder sister Shaoling, then wouldn't you have seen all of me? This is not fair, I want to see you back. Be more serious. Although Du Shaoling looked small and exquisite, gentle and kind, but when she was angry she could not be easily provoked. Now she was pinching Chen Xiang's ears, making him cry out in pain. Aren't we still going to meet that heartless father of yours? No, it's that guy's clone. Chen Xiang said. Has he reappeared during these past 10 years? That guy is too powerful. Really? No wonder I sensed a trace of his aura. Du Shaoling frowned. She felt that Chen Xiang being able to survive the when he met it was already very powerful. He never appeared again. Moreover, the Heaven Wasteland aristocratic family was already destroyed by Long Jiuxiao and the entire dragon clan. The heavenly evil world had also changed a lot. Their Tao energy no longer contained any evil spirit force. They have now merged into the natural law world, and have developed very smoothly. Du Shaoling said. That's good. Chen Xiang took a sip of that black liquid. How did you destroy the celestial squad? Let alone you, even I am not his match, yet you are actually able to destroy the celestial squad in front of him. Du Shaoling said. I killed his doppelganger, or there would be no hope. Chen Xiang thought back to that strike of his, and couldn't help but feel pain in his body. Of course, he felt a sense of accomplishment in being able to unleash that kind of power. Du Shaoling was startled, then shook his head. That's impossible, how are you able to destroy his clone? Chen Xiang laughed. If it's not like this, how can you be so safe for the past 10 years? Du Shaoling still could not believe it. But, are you really that strong? Right now, you're only at the first stage of the Tao Sovereign Realm. Chen Xiang laughed. Didn't you carefully look at my body? You said it earlier, my physical body is much stronger than yours. Elder sister Shaoling, don't underestimate me, I am powerful. Humph, little scoundrel, consider yourself strong. Du Shaoling could only believe in Chen Xiang's words, but he could not use common sense to judge Chen Xiang's strength. After Chen Xiang woke up, he strolled around the Hundreds of Flowers village, entangled with all kinds of beauties for over 10 days before finally going to find the great landlord. Now, the great landlord had also moved to the Heavenly Dragon City. Furthermore, the Heavenly Dragon City was getting bigger and bigger, and there were already 5 city walls. Master, you're here too. Chen Xiang was looking for the great landlord, but he saw that Huang Jintian was there too. Your master is a D operator, I knew you would come here today. Huang Jintian laughed. Then master, do you know when Tengu will come? Chen Xiang asked. He did not know if he had missed this chance in the past 10 years. There are still 2 more days. It's about time for you to wake up. Of course, if we miss it, we'll only have to wait another 10 years. Huang Jintian said. Wan Yuxiong also dared to come over. He wanted to discuss going to Divine Wasteland with Chen Xiang. 5 more days. Chen Xiang was shocked. Isn't this too fast? Great Landlord said. Yes, with your current strength, you should be able to go. I plan to stay here forever. Why? Chen Xiang asked. The environment above Divine Wasteland is not suitable for me. My heart is already old and I don't have that determination anymore. Great Landlord sighed. I've lived long enough, I don't know when I'll die. Wan Yuxiong had already decided to go with Chen Xiang. He still had many concerns in the Divine Wasteland. Prepare yourselves. In 5 days we will depart. Great Landlord said. Yuan Feng originally wanted to go, but since they found out about some things in Divine Wasteland from Elder Wan, they didn't dare go, haha. Chen Xiang wandered around Heavenly Dragon City for 2 days, talking with his old friends Long Jiuxiao and Yun Xiaodao. Then, he would head to that island to find Xin Tianhu and drink with his father, chat and bid him farewell. In the last 10 days, Chen Xiang had also gone through sweet nothings with her in the Hundreds of Flowers village, and she had become extremely crazy. Now that they knew Chen Xiang was about to leave, although they were not too far away in their hearts, they were already prepared for it, since it had always been like this. This time when Chen Xiang went, he did not even bring Chu Hongqing or Yang Xiangyin with him. Previously, when he was injured, the Yu Yao mountain villa was affected and more than half of them were destroyed. He had already prepared for the worst-case scenario while heading to Divine Wasteland. If he met with the worst-case scenario, he would be able to run away with his soul intact. When Chen Xiang returned to the Hundreds of Flowers village, he found out that Bai Yuyu was looking for him, and he immediately rushed over. Chen Xiang came to Bai Yuyu's residence and called out from outside, "Sister Yu Yu, what are you looking for me for? What else can happen?" Bai Yuyu stood behind him and pulled Chen Xiang's hand as he entered his room. Chen Xiang was dragged into the house, her heart thumping wildly, only to see Bai Yuyu wearing a purple muslin that was faintly discernible on her jade body, her long legs, broad chest, and beautiful small waist, all covered in a purple muslin that was filled with endless temptation. What was even more frightening was that the person with such a seductive body was a very cold and beautiful woman. Chen Xiang sat on a chair and looked at Bai Yuyu's cold and beautiful face. She suddenly revealed a smile, although it was a faint smile, but it was filled with allure. Previously, Chen Xiang had experienced the extreme charm of Bai Yuyu's concealment, but now Bai Yuyu revealed it completely. "Humph, you didn't come looking for me for the next 10 days or so, you little scoundrel. For the next 2 days, you're mine." There was a trace of gentleness in Bai Yuyu's voice, and she couldn't help but carry her into the room. After so many years, both of them had finally succeeded. After 2 days, Bai Yuyu was also very satisfied. She leaned on Chen Xiang's chest and asked softly, "I really want to go to Divine Wasteland with you. Can't you really take me with you?" "No, Sister Yu. You don't need to worry. We'll meet again very soon." Chen Xiang crawled up from the bed. At this time, the sky was gradually getting darker as the sun started to rise. C 2668. C 2668. Chen Xiang bid farewell to the woman inside the Hundreds of Flowers village, and then proceeded towards the Heavenly Dragon City. He bid farewell to everyone, and left with Wan Yuxiong, Great Landlord, Long Jiuxiao, and Huang Jintian. To reach the Divine Wasteland, one would need to be at the center of the Natural Law Divine Realm. Now that the Natural Law Divine Realm had merged with the Heavenly Evil World, it would take a long time to reach the center. In the center, in the place where the two worlds intersected, Chen Xiang controlled the 6 realms mirrors. After more than 2 hours, he finally arrived at this place. At this moment, the sky had turned completely dark. Great Landlord and Wan Yuxiong looked at the sky and said, "There's still time. Wait for the few of us to work together and open a spatial tunnel here. I should be able to do it myself. I don't need any effort from you all," Chen Xiang said. His spatial energy was very strong, so he felt that there was no problem. "Although you can do it yourself, it will take a lot of energy, so let us do it. This way, when you go to Divine Wasteland, you will have a certain amount of power," the Great Landlord said. Wan Yuxiong nodded at Chen Xiang. "Divine Wasteland is much more dangerous than this place. You should know that the people inside the Divine Wasteland are all strong people who can control an entire world, and they can absorb a lot of powerful forces from their own world." "All right then." Chen Xiang sat on the 6 realms mirrors and walked over. Great Landlord, Long Jiuxiao and the others had started to train. It was already noon, but the world was still covered by darkness, releasing waves of evil qi. Chen Xiang raised his head and looked at the place where the scorching sun had blocked out the sky. There was a crack right there. "Why is it that we can only open the way to Divine Wasteland under these circumstances?" Chen Xiang asked. "It's mainly because the power of S.P.A.C. will become weaker at this time, and the reaction between the world we're in and the Divine Wasteland will be even stronger. Once a very strong power is condensed and sensed in the divine wastelands S.P. A.C., a door will open. The reason it is like this is so that the strong can go to the stronger divine wasteland. It is to prevent chaos in this world. Wan Yuxiong pointed to the crack and continued, Chen Xiang, once the crack has opened to a certain extent, you must immediately enter. If you're too slow, you must start from a new beginning, and by the second time, you will need even more strength. Chen Xiang nodded. I understand. He carefully examined the crevice. The crack slowly opened, and after a while, it opened wider. Chen Xiang made the 6 realms mirrors smaller, so it could fly in at once. Let's go. Chen Xiang said. Take care. If you can come back and visit often. Huang Jintian shouted. Got it. Chen Xiang had already controlled the 6 realms mirrors and instantly entered the crack. After they entered the crevice, Great Landlord and the rest stopped working. They had consumed a lot of energy just now. The 6 realms mirrors was shuttling through the spatial tunnel. It was extremely unstable, and it was vibrating very strongly. If it wasn't for the 6 realms mirrors' powerful protection, Chen Xiang and Wan Yuxiong wouldn't have been able to fly through this sage so easily. Elder Wan, if we go to the divine wasteland, we'll probably find him somewhere. Chen Xiang asked. Hard to say. After all, these S.P.A.C.S. aren't things we can control. Wan Yuxiong said, but you don't have to worry, my strength is not that strong in the divine wasteland, but I can still protect myself, and you, brat, are also very strong, nothing will happen to you. Chen Xiang nodded. He was also looking forward to see the divine wasteland. Before he came, Lin Shirong had asked him to find her father if he had time, and he agreed. But he didn't go look for him immediately. The 6 realms mirrors suddenly became stable, making Chen Xiang feel much better. He was worried that he would encounter some accident. Now that's good, we can safely head towards the divine wasteland. Chen Xiang laughed. Don't relax, the road to divine wasteland is not that simple. Wan Yuxiong said. Sure enough, not long after he finished speaking, the 6 realms mirrors suddenly started to shake violently, and that protective S.H.I+ELD was under an extremely huge pressure. Even though they were inside the 6 realms mirrors, they could still clearly feel it. What's going on? Chen Xiang immediately used his spirit qi and infused it into the 6 realms mirrors, causing its protective S.H.I+ELD to strengthen. We have already entered the S.P.A.C. domain. The S.P.A.C. here is very strong, you can tell from this tyrannical power of S.P.A.C. Wan Yuxiong frowned. Can you hold on to this thing of yours? I don't know yet. I'll try my best to hold on, said. 6 realms mirrors was a very strong heavenly artifact, but in divine wasteland, it was unknown if it was strong enough. Wan Yuxiong also released an energy S.H.I+ELD to cover both him and Chen Xiang. If the 6 realms mirrors was unable to hold on, they wouldn't be affected much. The divine wasteland's spatial energy is terrifying after all. Chen Xiang was horrified. He was an expert in the use of the power of S.P.A.C., but now that he was in the midst of the divine wasteland's turbulence, he felt extremely insignificant. Of course, this is the greatest world, the peak of all worlds. Wan Yuxiong said. Elder Wan, I can't hold on any longer. Chen Xiang didn't think much of it before, but the spatial turbulence was much stronger than before. Boom. The 6 realms mirrors' protective S.H.I+ELD suddenly shattered. Chen Xiang anxiously kept the 6 realms mirrors into his body. Luckily he had Wan Yuxiong's protective S.H.I+ELD to protect them, otherwise it would be very troublesome. I really didn't expect that after so many years, Divine Wasteland's spatial enchantment would become stronger and stronger. Wan Yuxiong's expression changed, and became extremely ugly. Elder Wan, Chen Xiang saw Wan Yuxiong's expression and had a bad premonition. Be careful! Wan Yuxiong suddenly shouted, his energy HI plus ELD also crumbled. Just as the energy barrier was collapsing, Chen Xiang was sucked away by a surge of energy. Chen Xiang felt his body spinning non-stop, and his surroundings became pitch black. This continued for several days before his eyes suddenly lit up, and then, his entire body slammed onto a very hard stone. Chen Xiang's head was thrown down by a strong force, which heavily smashed onto the stone and made him cry out in pain. It should be the divine wasteland. This rock is even harder than my face, I can't be wrong. Chen Xiang punched the stone hard in order to shatter it. Although he was separated from Wan Yuxiong in the Pas Sage, the good thing was that he was only carried away by the spatial turbulence. His body was not harmed at all, and he finally arrived at Divine Wasteland. This is the peak of 10,000 worlds. Chen Xiang patted his body and then floated. However, he had only floated for about 3 meters before he was pressed down by a very strong pressure. Can't fly. Could it be that he's the same as the primitive land? Chen Xiang was currently floating under the pressure. Although he could fly, he couldn't fly high, and flying was very difficult. C2669. C2669. Chen Xiang also didn't know the reason why, but he didn't tell him that the strong of Divine Wasteland he had swallowed previously didn't have any related memories either. Let's see if I can teleport. Chen Xiang immediately used his spatial energy to teleport, but after teleporting, his surroundings became dark. Arriving at this place made him feel very familiar. He suddenly recalled that this was the chaotic SPAC that he was in before. Sure enough, he was rushed out by a turbulence, and he returned to the place he was previously at. Why is it like this? Chen Xiang sat on the ground, his face full of suspicion. He had used the power of teleportation to return to that Ned place. He thought about it carefully and finally understood that the spatial laws he was using were from the natural law world and not from this divine wasteland. Although they were both spatial energy, they had different operating methods, and their laws were different. If he were to use the natural law world's spatial laws here, he would only go to the natural law world. It was just that his spatial energy was not strong enough, so he went to the SPAC layer between Divine Wasteland and himself. Right now, all of my spatial energy is extracted from the Tao D Soul. This is my own spatial law. If I want to teleport within the Divine Wasteland, I have to learn the laws here, and make my Tao D Soul release the spatial energy that is similar to the laws here. Chen Xiang opened his palm and released out a flame. Fortunately, fire can still be used. Looks like the fire laws in Divine Wasteland are no different from other worlds. Chen Xiang heaved a sigh of relief. His flames wanted to concoct pills. If he could not use fire, then he would not be able to use it to concoct pills. Now we can only walk. Chen Xiang stood up and ran upwards. He raised his head to look at the sky, and started running frantically in the direction of the sun. He was in a forest. The trees in this place were very large and strange. The trees had strange shapes and shape. Some looked like humans or beasts, but they weren't the type that went straight up. Some even had strange trees intertwined together. All of the plants here contain fairly dense Tao energy. It seems that there will be quite a few monsters here. At this time, Chen Xiang was also feeling gloomy in the forest, which made him speed up his pace and run wildly. After running for more than 10 days, he finally saw something different. There was a huge mountain up ahead that was several times taller than the mountains around him. Red Mountain. It seems like the plants and rocks on the mountain are all red. I wonder what is the cause of this. At this time, Chen Xiang was extremely curious about that mountain, and he started running with full strength. However, when he got closer, he found that the mountain was surrounded by many buildings. All around it were stone buildings of varying sizes. This was not a city because there were no walls and it was a mess. Although it is not a city, the number of buildings built around the Red Giant Mountain is more than the number of big cities combined. Chun Xiang could guess that it was because of the gigantic Red Mountain. After he entered this bustling area, he found out that this place was called the Great Divine Red Region, and the mountain in the middle was called the Great Divine Red Mountain. The Red Mountain was surrounded by a very strong barrier. If one did not enter through the gate, they would not be able to reach the Red Mountain from other places. Through asking around, Chun Xiang gained a general understanding of the place. The god of Red Mountain was one of the fire sect. There's a fire going on. The Green Dragon didn't tell me. The Green Dragon among the Emperor's seal had told him before that the three great Daos were the Heavenly Tao, the Sword Tao, and the Original Tao. Although it was also one of the three great Daos, it was the Heavenly Tao, the Fire Tao, and the Sword Tao. The Fire God, the Red Mountain, is one of the 5 great gates of the Fire God, the 7 mountains. The Fire God, the Red Mountain, is one of the 9 great sects of the Fire God, and the Fire God, the Red Mountain, is one of the 9 great sections. Chun Xiang felt that his luck was good. He had only just arrived in the Divine Wasteland, but he was already able to come to this place. This helped him quickly understand the Divine Wasteland, and along the way, he had not encountered any strong Divine Wasteland beasts. As Chun Xiang walked on the street, he felt extremely depressed in his heart. This was because he did not have a thing like the Tao Stone. Of course, as long as there was a huge demand for pills in the Divine Wasteland, he would not have to worry about not having this in the future. Previously in the natural law divine realm, jade money were the currency. He did not want them. It was just that it was useless to be here now. The Tao Stone was not as useless as the jade money. It still had a lot of uses here, mainly because it could be used to exchange for power of law. As for how to execute it, Chun Xiang wasn't too sure. He only got it from the memories. A alchemy master suddenly descended on Grand Red Building and started refining the natural law dan there. It is said that he threw more than 10 pills there and many people fought over them, but after obtaining the alchemy master's pill, it is worth it even if he lost his arm. Shoo, don't be so loud. It would be bad if too many people knew about it. Alright, let's go and take a look. Chun Xiang Paes, said by a building. With his sharp hearing, he heard people talking above, and then he waited there for a while. When he saw the 2 of them walk down in a hurry, he quickly followed them. There should be very few people in the Tao of alchemy. Chun Xiang had heard from the dragon in the Emperor's seal that the members of the clan were mysterious and rare. Now that he had met one, Chun Xiang was very excited as well. He was able to see for himself how an alchemist of the alchemy Tao looked like. He followed the 2 for more than half a day before reaching the so-called Grand Red Building. This Grand Red Building had 10 floors, and it couldn't be considered to be the tallest building. There were hundreds of people standing under the Grand Red Building. Just by looking at their clothes, one could tell that they were from a lower CLA. And all of them were here to pick up natural law dan S. These fellows are all Tao sovereigns or gods. Is there a need to be like this? Chun Xiang also planned to try his luck and see if he could pick it up. He carefully observed his surroundings and discovered that there were quite a few bloodstains. It seemed that the fight for the blood on his head was not an exaggeration. Grandmaster Pil Dao has appeared. Someone suddenly shouted. Chun Xiang immediately looked towards the Grand Red Building, only to see a handsome white-clothed man standing on the balcony on the 3rd floor. He laughed heartily. Because there was an error in the pill refining just now, I can only refine a middle-ranked natural law dan. I normally will throw away middle-ranked natural law dan. As he spoke, the man in white threw down the few natural law dan s in his hands. Right at this moment, Chun Xiang stepped onto the shrinking step and used the change in the firmness within it to make his arm flexible. Then, He swung his fist out with great force. C2670. C2670, what technique is this? Many people who saw this were astonished. There was actually someone who could make their arms grow so much longer? Chen Xiang obtained a natural law dan and immediately ran. He was worried that he would be ganged up on. Only after running a few streets did Chen Xiang stop. At this time, he was hiding in a small alley and looked at the natural law dan in his hand. This is a middle-tier natural law dan. Chen Xiang did not dare believe it because the quality was too poor. The Taoist Emperor Dan he refined with so many crash were much better than this. I don't know what pill this is, but just by looking at it, one can tell it isn't any good pill. Sell it first. Chen Xiang strolled along the street and found a very small medicine store. After he walked in, he took out the pill he had just snatc head and handed it over. Old sir, are you going to take back this pill? When the old man at the counter saw the gray and dull pill in Chen Xiang's palm, his extremely narrow eyes miraculously opened wide, as if he had seen a treasure. Collect. 500 Dao stones. The old man said. So little. Chen Xiang immediately realized that this pill was worth a lot in the eyes of this old man. 600. The old man said again. 800, do you want it or not? As soon as Chen Xiang finished speaking, he regretted it a little. He didn't think that the old man would agree so readily. Here. 800 Dao stones. The old man said Chen Xiang a bag of Dao stones. The Dao stone was the size of a grain of rice, and with a sweep of Chen Xiang's consciousness, he could immediately check it out. It was indeed 800 Dao stones. Chen Xiang suddenly felt that he was at a disadvantage. But what he did not understand was why such a pill breakage was so popular here. Could it be that all of the powerful alchemists here died, and those who were able to concoct that kind of pill-breaking pill are also known as master alchemists? Chen Xiang was very suspicious about this. Of course, that pill was something he had picked up. It could give him 800 Dao stones. That was already quite good, because staying here was only worth 20 Dao stones a day. It was very cheap. Eating something would only be 2 Dao stones. In an inn, Chen Xiang thought back to the pill he had snatc head. It had indeed just been refined and was still warm. But how could a guy known as a great master of pills be able to concoct so many pills of such inferior quality? No matter how he thought about it, he just couldn't understand it. After running for so many days, he was tired and fell asleep very quickly. The next day, he went to Grand Red Building again, and at this time, there were not as many people as yesterday. After asking around, he found out that the pill master did not distribute natural law danas, so there was no one here, but at this time, many people knew that there was a pill master who came to visit him. Chen Xiang also entered the Grand Red Building. It was very lively here. All the seats for the lower floors were reserved, and the upper floors were very expensive, with 100 Dao stones per day. Motherf *Ker, why does it feel like that Grandmaster Pill Dao is a scammer? But there are too many idiots here. Chen Xiang looked at the people who were drinking and eating here. Most of them were waiting for the alchemy master. According to his inquiries, he knew that if he wanted to meet the Grandmaster, he would have to use even more Dao stones in order to eat with him. He also knew that this quota needed to be auctioned off. He's obviously a liar. Chen Xiang was sure, but he just wondered why the people here would be so easily deceived. After thinking about it, he felt that it was very possible that there were not many powerful alchemists in the place. Chen Xiang did not have that many Dao stones, so he would not buy the chance to meet with the pill master. At night, Grand Red Building was still very lively. Below Chen Xiang, he could hear the deep and clear laughter of the alchemy master. Chen Xiang used his transformation technique and transformed into a small insect, crawling to the 3rd floor. The window was opened, and as he leaned towards the window, he saw the so-called alchemy master, talking and laughing with a few well-dressed middle-aged men. These middle-aged men are all Dao Gods. It looks like they are a lot stronger than Elder Wan. Chen Xiang exclaimed in his heart, this guy actually believes in this scammer. The reason they came to look for this alchemist master was mainly to seek pills. Furthermore, they all had the same pill, called Jinyuan Dao Dan, and this was also a natural law Dan. This is the medicine required by the Jinyuan Dao Dan. There are 3 ingredients in total, master only needs to help me refine one. A red-clothed middle-aged man laughed. Don't worry, it'll be completed in 100 days at the earliest. Master is truly incredible. He was able to master it within 10 days, as expected of a grandmaster from the way of pills. The middle-aged man hurriedly praised. Chen Xiang discovered that all of them had brought 3 sets of Jinyuan Dao Dan's medicinal ingredients with them, and only requested to refine one of them. This is so profitable. Furthermore, 10 days for one pill. Just what kind of pill is this? It's very difficult to concoct. Chen Xiang was extremely curious. At this time, the pill Dao was also sending those people off, and the medicinal ingredients were still on the table. Chen Xiang immediately went in. The Jinyuan Dao Dan only requires 2 sets of medicinal herbs. These are the golden ginseng and the unknown golden fruit. Chen Xiang looked at them, and then quickly took out a drop of juice from the 2 different medicinal herbs to store, before quickly leaving. Chen Xiang returned to the tavern and took out the juice. After that, he entered the Yu Yao mountain villa and poured the juice into the soil, watering the World God spring. They should be able to grow it soon, but I wonder what its uses are. Chen Xiang patiently waited inside. In order to increase his speed, he even added in the condensed-out spirit pearls. Chu Hongqing and Yang Xiangyin were not in here, so he felt a little lonely. He really hoped that he could find a way to return to the divine wasteland quickly and freely, so that he could return from time to visit Natural Law World's old friends. The next morning, Chen Xiang saw a fruit tree, as well as a mature golden ginseng. He took the seed from the golden ginseng and grew it. It seems that the quality of the golden ginseng is relatively low, so it can quickly mature. It should be a high-grade emperor rank medicinal ingredient. This fruit tree actually needs a bit of time. As Chen Xiang's cultivation increased, his ability to grow the divine spring of worlds Gods increased by a lot. Today, he had once again arrived outside the Grand Red Building. There were many people waiting here, because that master had thrown away his natural law Dan yet again. Another pill like that? What kind of pill is that? Although Chen Xiang had SNATC had 1 pellet and even sold it, he still could not figure it out. This time, Chen Xiang managed to SNATC another pellet, and because of this, he was chased for over 10 streets. It's good to have long hands. Chen Xiang walked into the shop, and when the old man saw him, his eyes lit up. Lad, are you here to sell Jinyuan Dao Dan again? The old man chuckled. Chen Xiang was startled. The gray pill in his hand was actually the Jinyuan Dao Dan. C2671. C2671. Until now, Chen Xiang still did not know what use the Jinyuan Dao Dan had. The same price as last time, 800. How about it? The old shopkeeper said. No problem, but can you tell me what's the use of these Jinyuan Dao Dan? Chen Xiang asked. You don't even know that. No wonder you sold it to me. The old shopkeeper was a little shocked and said, Sell this Jinyuan Dao Dan to me, and I'll tell you right away. I'm worried that you won't sell it to me after I tell you. The quality of the Jinyuan Dao Dan in Chen Xiang's hands were very poor. Even if he knew what it was used for, he would not eat this pellet. Here, you can tell me now. Chen Xiang handed the pellet over to the old man in charge. The old man took it over and scrutinized it carefully, then said with a smile, It's indeed a Jinyuan Dao Dan, not bad. Here are 800 Dao stones. Chen Xiang took the Dao stones, and the old man said slowly, The main function of Jinyuan Dao Dan is to help people cultivate the spirit of the Dao Gods. In the Dao God stage, one would mainly need to cultivate to the Dao God gold body and the Dao God soul. In order to break through to the Dao God stage, one would need to have the spirit of the Dao Gods. The old man said. So that's how it is. Chen Xiang was aware that there was an even higher realm above the Dao God stage, and it was extremely difficult to reach that level. Right now, there were many people who had yet to break through to the Dao God stage in this place. Chen Xiang had not stepped into the Dao God stage yet, but he felt that there were still some medicinal fields. Shopkeeper, I'm only in the Dao sovereign realm right now. Will that help me? Chen Xiang asked. He was not very clear about his future cultivation. Of course there is. You are only at the Dao sovereign realm, but you have already cultivated Dao God soul. If you start preparing now, it will be easier for you to cultivate spirit of the Dao Gods in the future. The old man said, but its actual usage isn't that great. It's just a little bit of use. Actually, Jinyuan Dao Dan are lower-tier pills, especially something like you that looks dark in Una. As summing. This is a very low-ranked pill, if it's gold-colored. It can be sold for 30,000 pills. The old man said. So expensive. The 3 myriad Tao stones should not be much for many rankers here, but why would they ask for other people's help to refine them? Chen Xiang asked. Isn't this still the reason why there are less alchemists? The main reason is because the powerful alchemists are all in the sects of the 3 great Daos, and since they can get an even richer reward from there, they rarely appear in these places. The old man sighed. The moment alchemist appears, many people will welcome him. Chen Xiang finally understood that the was monopolized by the big powers. He had encountered such situations before, but at that time, although the alchemist did not allow him to sell pills privately, but the big powers would sell themselves. But now those big powers did not allow alchemists to come out, and he did not want to sell them himself either. This caused the alchemist to rarely go out. Aren't these days going to be tough? Chen Xiang said. Of course it's not so good. If you want more pills, you can only join 3 sects, and these sects are currently very difficult to enter. The Heavenly Tao from many years ago was still very easy to enter, but now a threshold has been set. Chen Xiang had heard the Azure Dragon say before that the Heavenly Tao could be entered anytime. However, that was a Heavenly Tao from a long time ago. For example, there are 2 conditions that must be met to enter the Fire Path's Divine Red Mountain. The first is to reach the 10th place of Dao God realm and cultivate out a spirit of the Dao Gods. The second is to pay the 10 myriad Tao stones as the entrance fee and then receive 10 myriad Tao stones every year. This condition was indeed very harsh, and exceeded Chen Xiang's expectations. He had thought that it would be very easy to enter. Then what about the Heavenly Tao and the Sword Tao? Chen Xiang asked again. The Tao of the Sword is similar to the Tao of Fire, but the Tao of the Sword is even more difficult. Not only does one have to cultivate spirit of the Dao Gods, one also has to pass their examinations in the way of the sword. The old man continued, but I have to say, in the path of the sword, one's strength will be much stronger. Amongst those of the same level, the path of the sword will be slightly stronger. Chen Xiang had actually planned to go to the Sword Truth to take a look, then figure out the way to enter the Pill Dao. Manager, what if you want to join the Dao of Alchemy? Chen Xiang had previously understood that it was extremely difficult to join the Dao of Pills, not even at the level of the Azure Dragon. The Dao of Alchemy? That was even more difficult. Not to mention needing a certain level of alchemy, he also needed the acknowledgement of the 4 great elders of the alchemy world. Of course, the hardest part is that you have to find a sect in the Tao of Alchemy. The shopkeeper shook his head. That's almost impossible. The path of alchemy is very mysterious, and the legends say that the majority of the people in the Tao of Alchemy are descendants or disciples of the alchemist. Is the alchemist in the alchemy Tao very strong in alchemy? Chen Xiang looked at the Jinyuan Dao Dan in the shopkeeper's hands and asked. Of course. However, I heard that there are many unlucky kids in the Pill Dao, and the master in Grand Red Building could very likely be one of them. As he spoke, the storekeeper lowered his voice and said, Don't say that it was me who said that. It will cause trouble. Chen Xiang nodded, then left the shop and returned to the inn. The Jinyuan Dao Dan's medicinal ingredients are still not bad. I'll try to see if I can refine high-quality ones. Chen Xiang lacked a few Dao stones, so he planned to refine them and sell them. In any world, it's the same. Without money, it's hard to do many things. Since Chen Xiang was refining in his own Yuyao Mountain villa, he didn't need to use too much cash. Even if he failed, there wouldn't be much of a ripple, so he was not worried that it would affect his own divine sense C. The Jinyuan Dao Dan only required 2 types of ingredients, a golden ginseng and a golden fruit. Chen Xiang did not know what this was called, but he was confident that he could refine it into a pill. He put these 2 ingredients into the Chuang's Hi plus God furnace, and in just half a day, he had completed it. The quality isn't low. Is this the natural law, Dan? Chen Xiang looked at the 2 Jinyuan Dao Danes in his hands. Refining this kind of pellet was not difficult for him at all. It was much easier than refining more pills out of cash. It was just that the output of the pill was a little low. Previously, he had thought that it would be 3 pills, but it was all due to the medicinal ingredient. After refining the Jinyuan Dao Dan, Chen Xiang immediately headed to Grand Red Building. He wanted to confirm if the alchemist from the spirit pill was real. If it was, he wanted to see if he could get the other party to recommend him in. Grand Red Building was still very lively. Chen Xiang originally wanted to go upstairs, but was informed that the upper seats were full. He had to come another day to settle down. Manager, I am also an alchemist, but not a cultivator. I am here to seek advice from this pill master. This is the Jinyuan Dao Dan that I have just refined. Can you help me pass it to that master, and let him give me some pointers? After Chen Xiang was stopped by the shopkeeper, he took out a Jinyuan Dao Dan and gave it to him. C2672. C2672. Everyone on the first floor had sharp ears. After hearing Chen Xiang's words, they saw the Hi plus Ning Jinyuan Dao Dan in his hands and burst into an uproar. At least, no one here could refine it. Even the manager of the Grand Red Building felt deep respect for Chen Xiang and hurriedly invited him to go up the stairs. If Grand Red Building could have 2 alchemists, then the business would definitely be better. Just like this, Chen Xiang was brought by the shopkeeper to the 3rd floor, where the great master resided. The shopkeeper was knocking on the master's door when he heard a lazy voice coming from inside. What is it? I am the manager of the Grand Red Building. There is an alchemist who wishes to see you. The manager said. The master did not answer immediately. Chen Xiang and the shopkeeper waited for a while before their voices could be heard. Oh? Alchemist? Where does this alchemist come from? I am just a nameless newbie, I learned it myself. I have just refined a high-ranked Jinyuan Dao Dan, but I feel that I still have some shortcomings. I am here today to ask Master for some pointers. Chen Xiang immediately said. After a while, the Master said, All right, come in. The door opened, and Chen Xiang walked in, but the moment he did, the door immediately closed. Once inside, Chen Xiang saw a handsome man in white clothes, which was the master. Chen Xiang immediately took out a Jinyuan Dao Dan and was going to show it to him, but what this master did next shocked Chen Xiang. When the master saw the Jinyuan Dao Dan that Chen Xiang handed to him, he fell to his knees with a plop. Master, I'm just a swindler who blundered his way into your territory. Please spare me once, I'll get out of here immediately. The words of this master, caused Chen Xiang to be extremely shocked. You! Chen Xiang quickly understood that this was indeed a scammer. I am not some master alchemist at all. I just learned the art of refining pills from an old man that has been around for 100 years. Because I was clumsy, I barely managed to learn how to refine a middle-tier Jinyuan Dao Dan. The master looked to be a handsome and elegant man, but he looked like a good-for-nothing, and spoke to Chen Xiang with a tearful face. Chen Xiang laughed, then sat on a chair. I didn't expect you to be so good at acting. Chen Xiang crossed his legs and said, this scammer was still kneeling on the ground. How much did you earn these past few days? Not much, just a few thousand stones a day. These are all given to me by Grand Red Building. Oh right, there are still a few dozen batches of Jinyuan Dao Dan's medicinal ingredients. One portion is worth about 8,000 Dao stones. The Jinyuan Dao Danes that I previously threw out, all of their medicinal ingredients were sent by someone else. The scammer hurriedly took out a storage bag. There were roughly 2 myriad Tao stones and many medicinal ingredients inside. Oh right, how much is the mid-ranked Jinyuan Dao Dan that you refined worth? Chen Xiang wanted to know how much he had been tricked by the old shopkeeper. More than 1,000 pills. I just wanted to stay here for a month, fish out a dozen or 20 myriad Tao stones, and then escape. I never thought that this would be your territory. Please spare me, these are all yours. This swindler was extremely afraid, because in his eyes, anyone who was able to refine Jinyuan Dao Dan was an incredible person. So you've been to a lot of places to cheat? Chen Xiang asked again. He felt that this person could be considered a genius. He should make good use of him. I went too far. However, things didn't go as well as this time. In the past few years, I have only earned a total of 1,000 myriad Tao stones. Chen Xiang thought for a while, then asked, what is your name? Yi Jiang Dao Ji O, D level 8. Get up. Chen Xiang said. Yi Jiang was overwhelmed by the favor as he stood up timidly. Great sir, can you not expose me, or else I will definitely be beaten to death. Yi Jiang said with a bitter face. I don't dare to do it again. Don't worry, I won't expose you. However, you must accept one condition from me, and that is to be my follower. Chen Xiang said. This. How long will it take? Yi Jiang thought about it and said. 10 years. Chen Xiang said. Also, you must conclude a contract. You are not allowed to rebel against me within 10 years. All right, thought for a moment, then nodded his head and agreed. Otherwise, if Chen Xiang caused a ruckus here, he would definitely be unable to leave the Grand Red Building, and in order to protect his life, he would have been a follower for 10 years. Just like this, Chen Xiang made a contract with Yi Jiang, and Yi Jiang shouted as a lord. Yi Jiang, how many people did you promise to help them refine Jinyuan Dao Dan? Chen Xiang asked. Currently, there are 50 people. If I help them refine one, they will give me 2 myriad Tao stones. Yi Jiang said. It's a pity that I can't refine it myself. I've tried many times. How about this, you continue to act as a pill master, and I will refine the Jinyuan Dao Dan for you. When that time comes, all the Dao stones will belong to me. Chen Xiang said. This. No problem, but it will be completed within a month. Great sir, can you settle this? These are 50 pills. Yi Jiang said. I had planned to leave in a few more days. No problem, just wait. Within this month, you must not engage in any more business. Then, you must go and tell that shopkeeper that he will be leaving this place in a month's time. Yi Jiang hurriedly nodded, then went to find the shopkeeper. When Yi Jiang returned, Chen Xiang would take him to a secret room and have him refine a batch of Jinyuan Dao Dan for him to see. How long do you think it will take for you to refine one furnace? Chen Xiang asked. Half a day. Yi Jiang said. Although I am unable to refine high-quality pills, but I can still refine 3 of them of medium to low quality. After Yi Jiang finished speaking, he began to refine, and Chen Xiang watched from the side. Very quickly, he discovered many of the problems that had occurred with Yi Jiang during the process of refining the pill. With a glance, Yi Jiang could tell that his master was also half-hearted. This Yi Jiang had been lying for many years, cheating over 1,000 myriad Tao stones, so his brain was still all right. Under Chen Xiang's guidance, he was able to refine a high-quality Jinyuan Dao Dan in 6 hours. This made Yi Jiang jump up and down excitedly, and he kowtowed to Chen Xiang repeatedly. Chen Xiang never thought that this guy who looked so handsome would actually have this kind of character. When Chen Xiang was concocting the second batch, he had managed to get 3 pills in a single bat. This scared Yi Jiang to the point that he peed his pants, thinking that he had met a real alchemist master. More than 10 days had passed, and Chen Xiang had only refined 50 Jinyuan Dao Dan, was then allowed to hand these Jinyuan Dao Dan over to the person requesting the pellet. With the 100 myriad Tao stones, Chen Xiang could feel at ease to bring Yi Jiang on the road. C-2673. C-2673. While Chen Xiang had Yi Jiang announce to the outside that he had accepted a disciple, this way Yi Jiang could still maintain his ident. 1. Tai as a pill master. Old master, are you really from the pill Dao? Your alchemy skills are really too amazing. Just by giving me a few pointers, I was able to make such a huge improvement. Chen Xiang was sitting in the horse carriage, while Yi Jiang was driving. The 2 horses pulling the carriage were both delay horses, and had a lot of stamina. Although their running speed was not as fast as Chen Xiang, they were not slow either, and the carriage was specially made, which was extremely light and light. No, I actually want to know how to enter the pill Dao, Chen Xiang said. I don't know how to enter the Dao of alchemy either. This is extremely difficult, and I've never seen a pill Dao cultivator before, Yi Jiang said, but I heard that the pill refiners seem to be refining Jinyuan Dao Dan similar to you, old master. That's why I want you to pretend to be someone of the pill Dao. That way we might be able to lure people of the pill Dao out. Chen Xiang laughed. Old master is indeed wise. But would it be dangerous? Yi Jiang asked worriedly. He did not know what strength Chen Xiang had right now, but he felt that since Chen Xiang was so strong in pill cultivation, he must not be weak. Yi Jiang, which sect is the strongest in the way of the sword? Chen Xiang asked. If you can't enter the Tao of alchemy, then going to the Tao of the sword is not bad. The way of the sword. The strongest sect should be the God Murdering Mountain, because the city beneath the mountain is dozens of times larger than the Divine Red Mountain. Many of the people stayed in the city because they wanted to enter the God Murdering Mountain. Alright, let's go to God Murdering Mountain now. Is it far from here? Chen Xiang asked. It's not too far away. Based on our current speed, we should be able to reach there in about half a year. Yi Jiang's words caused Chen Xiang to be stunned. Half a year was not far yet. Previously, Chen Xiang thought that there were things like transmission arrays here, but he now knew that the spatial laws here were extremely profound. No wonder the divine wasteland required a lot of power to get down from there. For the past half year, Chen Xiang had been concocting pills. The pills he had concocted were all Taoist Emperor Dan S, and he could already progress up to the 10 Crash S, which he had done in the Yu Yao Mountain Villa. Old master, we're almost there, Yi Jiang anxiously shouted. When Chen Xiang woke up from his cultivation, he was already at the first level of the Dao God stage. His Dao God gold body was almost finished, but it was still not enough. The 10th place of Dao God realm needed to undergo 10 changes. Each time, the Dao God soul was able to produce a rule Dao line inside the Divine Sense C world. Right now, Chen Xiang's Divine Sense C had a rule Dao line, and this rule Dao line contained all sorts of laws. This was one of the world's most needed laws on movement. There were also laws on time and SPAC. The Rule Dao line that he would cultivate next would be his main focus. And after you get there, think of a way to become a pill master. Chen Xiang said, "Now let me drive the carriage." Now that Yi Jiang could rest, he slept soundly in the carriage. Chen Xiang only slowed down the carriage and headed towards the mountain. That tall mountain was like a sword that stabbed into the ground, exuding a proud and aloof aura, filled with majesty. From afar, one could feel the waves of sword energy, causing people to feel a sense of awe. This is the God Murdering Mountain. It really is powerful. After Chen Xiang stepped into the Dao God stage, he clearly understood that it would be extremely difficult to raise his cultivation. Chen Xiang planned to continue pretending to be Yi Jiang's disciple and make Yi Jiang famous here, to see if there was anyone who could lead to this. Yi Jiang, how much do you know about this God Murdering Mountain? Chen Xiang asked. After half a year of traveling, they finally arrived at the city below God Murdering Mountain. I understand it quite well. Although I've never been here before, I've heard of it before. Moreover, I've planned to walk around this place, so I've asked about a lot of things here. After entering the city, Chen Xiang put Yi Jiang down. It was Yi Jiang who asked Chen Xiang to do this, because he wanted to find a hotel himself and boast at the hotel. If he succeeded, then Chen Xiang would know too. I'm moving right outside this city. If I get too close to the center, it'll be very easy for it to be exposed. There are many people with very high cultivation experience inside. Yi Jiang said, "All right, I'll take a stroll here myself. When you become famous, I'll find a place to look for you." Chen Xiang was not afraid that Yi Jiang would run away, because they had already made a contract. In order to allow Yi Jiang to succeed, Chen Xiang had refined a lot of genuine Dao Dan of lower quality previously, allowing him to use this kind of pill to attract people's attention. This was also Yi Jiang's usual method, which was how Chen Xiang previously found out. Yi Jiang had only used around a dozen or 20 pills previously, but now that Chen Xiang had given him a few hundred, he started to feel uneasy. Chen Xiang's Yuyao Mountain Villa grew many of the required ingredients that the Jinyuan Dao Dan required, and he had also refined more than 100 of the Jinyuan Dao Dan's. Chen Xiang brought the carriage back to Yuyao Mountain Villa and bid farewell to Yi Jiang. "I have to go and see if there are any pills for sale here." Chen Xiang quickly found a medicine shop and inquired around. He found out that only medicinal herbs were sold here and there were no natural law Dan. After interrogating a few stores in succession, he thought that with such a large city district, there should be pills for sale here. He didn't expect that it would be as rare as others. "Looks like I can only enter the inner layer." After Chen Xiang went inside, he finally found a shop that sold natural law Dan. Natural law Dan were average in the upper, middle, and lower stages, while Jinyuan Dao Dan were mid-tier. Above the high grade were King Grade S, Heaven Rank, and Saint Rank. The shop that Chen Xiang came to was only for sale to middle-ranked natural law Dan. Among them there were Jinyuan Dao Dan, which required 4 myriad Tao stones. Furthermore, he needed to reserve them in order to obtain one later. Looks like the demand for natural law Dan here is huge. Chen Xiang did not lack Dao stones right now. If he reached the 3rd level of the Dao God realm, he would need them. This was because the Dao stone could absorb the power of the Great Way of the Divine Wasteland and then absorb it. Chen Xiang walked out of the shop in a dejected manner. When he reached the entrance, 2 men walked out enthusiastically from within the shop. They looked to be extremely angry. "Senior brother, it seems that someone is trying to impersonate us. We want to see what kind of fella is using the name of the pill Dao to cheat us," a youth said. "I've heard that something like this happened in other places, but we've never met any of them. This time, we won't be able to escape." The light-robed man's face was full of anger as he started to run quickly. Chen Xiang never thought that Yi Jiang's skills were so brilliant that it could attract a true alchemist so quickly. He immediately followed him to prevent Yi Jiang from being in danger. C. 2674. C. 2674. Chen Xiang followed behind the two disciples and carefully probed their auras. Looks like the art of alchemy is quite strong. Both of them are in the 10th place of Dao Ji O.D. realm, so I am weaker than them in terms of strength. I just don't know what will happen when I concoct pills. I really want to compete with them. The two walked very fast, and in a short while, they had already followed a group of people to the small hotel that Yi Jiang was in. At this time, Yi Jiang was scattering the Jinyuan Dao Dan-s around, since they were all of the worst quality. Chen Xiang immediately sent a sound transmission to Yi Jiang. Yi Jiang, the Dao Core's people are here. You must prepare yourself. I'll watch from the side first. If they want to make a move, I'll immediately make a move. Yi Jiang was secretly shocked and a little worried when he heard this. After being a swindler for so many years, he knew that he had already attracted the attention of a true disciple of the Pill Dao. He never thought that the moment he stepped into the God murdering mountain area, the disciples of the Pill Dao would come and find him. Although Yi Jiang's strength was not very strong, his mental strength was still very strong. He was very calm at the moment, and after sprinkling out 2 Jinyuan Dao Dan, he walked into the room. Yi Jiang was on the second floor's balcony just now. After he finished scattering the Jinyuan Dao Dan and walked in, the two disciples immediately jumped up to the second floor. Especially that young man, who even rushed in and pulled Yi Jiang out. Everyone, this fellow is a swindler. You were all tricked by him. The man in green said loudly to the people below. Just now, many people had gotten their hands on Jinyuan Dao Dan. Although the quality was not high, the Jinyuan Dao Dan in their hands were all real. How can it be a liar? The Jinyuan Dao Dan he threw away is also worth a lot of Dao stones. Hey, quickly release this master alchemist. Someone shouted. This man had obtained a Jinyuan Dao Dan, so he was definitely looking at Yi Jiang when he said that. We are the true disciples of the Pill Dao. Furthermore, we, the disciples of the Alchemy Dao, have never refined such a low-quality Jinyuan Dao Dan. At this time, he was still holding onto Yi Jiang's sleeves. Yi Jiang was very calm at the moment, and there was even a trace of a smile on his face. Adding to his handsome appearance, it made him look like a person of high cultivation. Those Jinyuan Dao Dan were all created by a disciple of mine who wasn't paying attention when he was refining the pills, and were not personally refined by us. Yi Jiang said, "Oh right, you said that you are people of the Pill Dao, why don't you bring out proof?" When the people below heard this, they hurriedly shouted, "That's right, a pill master does not lack pills. Why don't you throw a few for us to see?" Not just any cat or dog can call themselves a disciple of a Dao Dan. When the youth and the azure-robed man heard this, they became anxious. They were true disciples of the Dao of alchemy, but now they were deemed as fake. This is proof. The youth took out a white jade token with the word Dan written in gold on it. The golden word Dan was very dazzling and it gave off a powerful aura. Many people felt an impulse to kneel down and kowtow when they saw it. Chen Xiang now believed that the two of them were true alchemy disciples, because one could tell that the jade tablet was refined using a special method, and it was even infused with a strong Adeo force. It was not something that could be created so easily. This is a jade token of our Dao of alchemy. Only by entering a Dao pill can one obtain this jade token. This is proof that it is enough. When the young man saw that everyone was stunned, he secretly felt proud of himself. At this moment, his aura had also become much stronger. Yi Jiang was the closest to the jade tablet, and the pressure was the greatest. However, he was still able to maintain his calm. Chen Xiang saw that the scene was quiet and suddenly shouted, "All of the Jinyuan Dao Dan-s that you all obtained were truly refined by me, in my master's eyes. They are pills that cannot even be placed on stage, thus my master abandoned them." Everyone regained their senses and looked at Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang had a pretty good face, he could give people a good impression of him. Of course, I am not a disciple of the Tao of alchemy, and my alchemy skills are self-taught. I only took him as my master because I saw the good intentions of my master. He has never said down his art of pill refining to me. He has only occasionally given me some pointers because he said that the art of pill refining is not something that can be said on to outsiders unless I can join the Tao of alchemy. Chen Xiang said as he was transferred to the second floor's balcony. This place was the same as the primitive land, although one couldn't fly, one could jump onto the balcony. Everyone felt that Chen Xiang was very powerful, they could actually be able to refine so many Jinyuan Dao Dan, in their eyes this was considered a pretty good alchemist. You are also a liar, the youth said. I've long heard that alchemy disciples have extraordinary skills. If we're really scammers, then your alchemy skills will definitely far surpass ours. How about we compete here? So let's compete in refining the Jinyuan Dao Dan. Chen Xiang said, the outcome will be decided by everyone. When everyone heard this, they all loudly shouted their support for this idea. No matter what, it would be better to have a round of sparring. When the youth saw the man in green, he said, Senior brother, let's compete with them. Let them experience the power of true disciples of the Pill Tao. All right. The azure-robed man nodded. Tell me the rules. Let's compete with the quality of the refined Jinyuan Dao Dan. Chen Xiang said. A strong alchemist, even if it was a very ordinary pill, the quality would still be very high. You guys should have a divine tool to test quality, right? Of course. The youth immediately took out a jade plate. There was a depression in the middle of the jade plate, which was where the pill was placed. If placed on top, the jade plate would display the value of the pill. Chen Xiang had seen many of these weapons before. Afterwards, the youth took out 2 pills to test the authenticity of the divine tool. Chen Xiang also took out a pellet of that black-colored Jinyuan Dao Dan and placed it on the test. Only 300 quality, and then there would be a pellet of good quality Jinyuan Dao Dan on the test. Alright, let's start the compet. 1. Tie-in to forge the Jinyuan Dao Dan now. The time limit is 6 hours. How about it? Chen Xiang said. Alright. The light-robed man nodded his head. He was doing this to prove that he was a true alchemy disciple. At the same time, he was also showing to everyone how big of a gap there was between a true alchemist disciple and a swindler. You want to compete with me? The light-robed man was startled. It was mainly because Yi Jiang had performed too well, so he thought that Yi Jiang seemed to be more powerful than Chen Xiang. As a disciple, it's enough to compete with me, Chen Xiang said. Then you will lose for sure. Although we are the youngest disciples in the Pill Tao, our alchemy skills far surpass yours. We can learn the most orthodox alchemy techniques in the Pill Tao. The youth said. The winner isn't out of your mouth, it's out of your mind. Chen Xiang smiled at the young man. Did your alchemist master not teach you this? From the way you talk, you don't seem to be someone from the Pill Tao at all. C 2675. C 2675 after all. He was still a teenager. How could he be as calm as an old cunning fox like Chen Xiang? Just a single sentence was enough to make this teenager angry into a rage, almost cursing him. If you want to come, then come. In any case, if you want to compete with me, you'll definitely lose. You overestimating yourself. The green-clothed man was also very angry. Only by defeating Chen Xiang, the real Chen Xiang and the rest were scammers, they could take action, and at that time, the hatred in their hearts would be relieved. Both sides did not need to inspect the pill furnaces as it was very difficult to cheat in a compet. One tie-in of such high quality. Moreover, everyone could tell that it was not a pill that had just been concocted. Chen Xiang was very serious now. After all, the other party was a true disciple of the Tao of alchemy, he could not be careless. He planned to use his strongest power to deal with them, and that would mean taking on more Craws. Plus only with this method could he refine a high-quality pill. I wonder how many Crash-s I can execute within 6 hours? Chen Xiang could only increase his speed and increase the number of collisions as soon as possible. Previously, when he was in the carriage, he could at most make 10 attempts at refining Taoist Emperor Dan. However, that took about 10 hours, and he had never tried refining a Jinyuan Dao Dan before, because at the current stage, he temporarily did not need to eat one. In 6 hours, I will be able to execute at least 4 or 5 crashes. I must do my best. Chen Xiang quickly refined the Jinyuan Dao Dan and entered the stage where he could clash with it. Very quickly, the first crash was quietly completed, and right now, only an hour had passed. Following that, the second and third stage crash were also completed, and even the pill furnace inside did not tremble at all, meaning that Chen Xiang had already mastered the crash method to perfection. It had only been 2 hours. Seems like we can carry out the 5 crashes. This Jinyuan Dao Dan is easier to deal with than I thought it would be. It's not as difficult as the Taoist Emperor Dan. This was a good thing for Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang was now at the first level of the Dao God realm, and his strength had become much stronger when compared to when he was training in the crash previously. As a result, he was able to suppress the intense undulations from the next few crashes. It had been almost 6 hours and Chen Xiang had already completed the 6th crash, which was beyond his expectations. If I were to frequently use the crash method to refine Jinyuan Dao Dan, I would crash into it even faster. This was Chen Xiang's first time using the crash method to refine it. If he had tried to refine it to such an extent in the past, he would definitely be exhausted. However, right now, he was still very spirited and did not exhaust much energy. After activating a lot of crash, it would produce a spirit God, which would make it very easy to condense a core, thus the pressure on Chen Xiang would lessen by a lot. Chen Xiang had refined a lot of pills with crashes, and they were all of extremely high quality, but he had never used an instrument to test how much in terms of quality. This might be the quality of the crash after the first test. 6 hours had passed. Chen Xiang and the azure-dressed man had completed it together. It could be seen that they had extremely precise control over the time, which was also one of the qualities required to become a powerful alchemist. You go first. The light-robed man's voice carried a trace of contempt. I'm worried that after you see the quality of my pellet, you will run away in shame. Of course, you 2 liars won't be able to escape. The azure-robed man laughed coldly. Chen Xiang took out the Jinyuan Dao Dan he refined and said, "Let's go down and test its quality. No one can see it from here." That's exactly what I was thinking. After the man said this, he took the white jade plate and jumped down. Chen Xiang also jumped down. "You can test it now." The teenager sneered. "This Jinyuan Dao Dan you have may look good, but it's just that." Chen Xiang did not pay attention to him. Instead, he placed his Jinyuan Dao Dan into the groove of the white jade disc, and a number immediately appeared on it. 110,000. The shout came from the azure-dressed man. Impossible, there must be something wrong with the jade plate. The youth also cried out in alarm, and then he took out a jade plate himself. He had one as well. After he took it out, he personally placed Chen Xiang's pill on his own jade plate, showing that he had reached 110,000. The green-clothed man's forehead was covered in sweat at this moment. After which, he placed the Jinyuan Dao Dan he refined onto the stage. Although it was only 70,000, Chen Xiang was still extremely shocked. He had a deeper understanding of the Tao of pills, and knew that this azure-dressed man in front of him was only a young disciple of the Tao of alchemy, but was able to produce a quality of 70,000. If it was an old man in the Tao of alchemy, then perhaps his quality would far surpass his. If this green-clothed man were to go to the natural law world, Just with his 70,000 points of quality, he would be able to far surpass many other alchemists. Perhaps the women in the incense pill garden would feel great pressure, and unless they used their heart to refine more crash, they would not be able to match this green-clothed man. Senior brother. Senior brother. The youth nudged the man in green. Both of them were shocked, because to their knowledge, it was impossible to concoct such a high-quality pill unless one was a disciple of the alchemy Dao. You've lost. Chen Xiang kept the genuine Dao Dan and then said to the rest of the people, whether we are fake alchemy disciples or not, everyone should have a rough idea about this, right? You guys aren't liars. These two fellows are liars. You were almost deceived by them. Hurry up and get out of here, otherwise we'll beat you up. Someone shouted. The spectators did not know what that quality of number meant, they only knew that Chen Xiang's value was much higher than theirs, so Chen Xiang was very powerful, and was considered a disciple of the Pill Dao. But the azure-dressed man and the youth knew very well what that number signified. You. What is your purpose? After the azure-dressed man calmed down and thought about it carefully, he knew that Chen Xiang definitely had a goal. He guessed that Chen Xiang definitely knew that they were indeed true alchemy disciples. We have no purpose. We just want to be real. We are not liars. Chen Xiang laughed. Let's go. They were obviously true disciples of the Pill Dao, but they were beaten into scammers by a fake disciple of the Pill Dao. If word of this got out to the other sects, they would definitely become a laughingstock. Yi Jiang was also filled with admiration. He had traveled in the Jianghu for so many years, and he had already confirmed that those two were true disciples of the alchemy Dao just now, but after a round of compet. 1. Tie-in with Chen Xiang, he suffered a cruise. Hi+ing defeat and was called a swindler. Just by thinking about it, one could tell how terrible the moods of the two alchemy disciples were right now. News of this spread quickly, and soon enough, everyone in the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain knew of it. Many people rushed over to the small restaurant, where alchemy disciples were rarely seen, so everyone came to catch a glimpse of the Grand Master of the Pill Dao. C-2676. C-2676 in the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain, the azure-dressed man and the youth sat in a small hall with faces full of indignation. In the hall sat a white-robed old man, who was carefully inspecting the two quality-testing jade plates. Master, is the jade plate broken? The youth said. It's not bad. The white-robed old man chuckled. Looks like you guys have met an incredible guy who was taken care of by the goo. Master, how can we just let it go like this? We are true disciples of the alchemy Dao, yet we are called scammers. They are the scammers, but everyone treats them as true disciples of the alchemy Dao. This is really too absurd. With the black and white inverted, how can you continue to watch? The azure-robed man had an unconvinced expression. The white-robed cultivator sighed. The Dao of alchemy. As long as one possesses supreme pill cultivating techniques, one would step into the Dao of alchemy. This is the meaning of Dao, and we can only call ourselves a sect of alchemy, not the master of the Dao of alchemy. Therefore, how can we decide whether or not others are the masters of the Dao of alchemy? You are still too young. His alchemy skills are better than theirs, which means that his alchemy skills are higher than yours. Moreover, he's studied the alchemy skills, so he's much more hardworking than you guys. Just based on this, he can win against you, which means he has the qualification to say that you guys are not in the alchemy path. The green-clothed man and the youth were so stunned that they couldn't even raise their heads. You have to be clear that you have at least entered the Dao of alchemy. Do you have a chance to truly step into the Dao and understand the truth of the Dao of alchemy? You must be clear about that. The white-robed old man stroked his long beard and said, This disciple knows his wrongs, but they're all playing tricks on us. The youth was still a little angry. As far as I know, they have never cheated when giving away genuine Dao Dan S in the city, and it is not excessive for them to call themselves people of the Pill Tao. That person's alchemy skills are much better than yours. Why can't he just say that he is a cultivator of the alchemy Tao? The old man in white smiled and said, "You guys are too compet. One Tive. The one you guys are unconvinced about is losing to someone of unknown origins, not a scammer." The white-robed old man rubbed the two disciples' heads and said, "Let's go back. Master, we have only been in the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain for a few days. We came here to exchange sword techniques as guests. Did we leave so quickly?" The youth said. At this time, a tall and skinny old man walked in and laughed. "That's right, old man Chin will be staying for a few more days. I have sent men to find those two crooks, to bring them up the mountain, and to clear your two disciples of their grievances." Hearing that, the white-robed old man shook his head and sighed. "That's why I'm leaving. It's just because my two disciples have too many grudges in their hearts. I didn't expect you to." "Oh, I hope there won't be any conflict." The green-clothed man and the youth were secretly delighted. They threw a respectful smile to this tall and skinny old man. "There's no need to worry. Our people know their limits. Given how skilled they are in pill forging, we should be able to bring them here and have them acknowledge you as their teacher." The tall and skinny old man laughed. "That's not good. Everyone has their own Tao of alchemy, which is different. Now that he's mastered his own Tao, he's his own master." The white-robed old man wasn't happy at the moment, so he went back to his room to rest. In the afternoon, the small restaurant where Chen Xiang and his group were staying was surrounded by a group of white-clothed people carrying long swords on their back. This was because the white-robed men were all from the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain, and the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain was the strongest. No one dared to offend them, because once the two leading men spoke, they immediately dispersed like a flock of birds. Yi Jiang felt a lot of pressure now, because he and Chen Xiang were still in the small restaurant. Before, when he was cheating, he had never encountered such a thing. Chen Xiang was rather calm as he said, "It seems that the two disciples are on top of the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain. Master, what should we do next? Do you have any way of escaping?" Yi Jiang was sweating profusely. "No, but you don't have to worry, we won't die. Wait a minute, I will lure them away. You can escape by yourself." Chen Xiang laughed, then walked down the stairs to the door. "You two swindlers, I also don't know what method you used to defeat two true disciples of the Pill Tao. We were called over by the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain's elders to capture you and interrogate you thoroughly." The leader was a handsome man wearing white clothes that made him look very energetic. "You train in the Tao of the sword? Not bad, the sword force on your body is very strong." Chen Xiang said, "I wonder what cultivation you have." "First stage of the Tai Tao realm." The man said, "If you obediently return with us, you will be able to avoid physical pain." Above the Tao God stage was the Tai Tao realm. Chen Xiang also knew this, but Chen Xiang was only at the first level of the Tao God stage. However, Chen Xiang was still not afraid. His powerful Tao God gold body and 10 fully opened profound doors of the laws allowed him to obtain an extremely strong power. When one reached the divine wasteland, they would no longer be able to absorb any energy but could only absorb it from the Tao God soul. As the Tao God soul was intertwined with the Tao energy in the divine sense C, the Tao God soul could turn the Tao energy of the divine sense C into the power of the law. Chen Xiang had 8 primordial profound gates, and he could quickly convert them into 8 thick streams of primitive Tao power. Then, he could circulate one round in the divine sense C, rush past the 10 levels of profound gates, and become very strong through conversion. What if I don't return? Chen Xiang took out the heavenly magic sword. He also wanted to see how strong the sword disciples were. Then you might get hurt. The man also took his sword from his back and said, "Since you are also someone who uses the sword, I'll give you a fair method. If you can defeat me, I can naturally let you leave safely. Alright, please release your sword. Chen Xiang held onto the heavenly magic sword tightly, focusing his mind. He couldn't use his spatial energy, he couldn't teleport, and the opponent's strength was likely to be much stronger than him. Seeing that the battle was about to start, the people in the surroundings all fled far away. In a battle between experts, it was as if the sky was collapsing and the earth was cracking. If they stayed by the side, they would be affected. Humph, using the sword in front of a sword truth disciple doesn't know your place. As the white-clothed man spoke, the long sword in his hand blurred, and in the blink of an eye, it had already pierced towards Chen Xiang's left shoulder. The moment the opponent released his sword, Chen Xiang was shocked, but he did not panic. Although the opponent's speed was very fast, he could clearly see the sword movements. The heavenly magic sword in his hand also moved, and slashed towards his opponent's sword body with lightning speed. Clang! With a crisp sound, the white-clothed man's sword was cut in half the instant it stabbed into Chen Xiang's left shoulder. The white-clothed man took a few steps back, his face filled with horror. His sword had actually been cut in half. Only he knew what was going on. Just now, he had used a very powerful sword force. Under the protection of this sword force, even if his opponent had a divine weapon, he had to first break through the force of his sword before being able to strike directly at his sword. But, when Chen Xiang brandished the sword over, she immediately cut apart his sword force, and cut apart his sword body. The white-clothed man and the surrounding God murdering mountain disciples could all see the terrifying part of the sword, because Chen Xiang's heavenly magic sword did not directly touch the white-clothed man's longsword, which meant that Chen Xiang had used the power of the sword to cut his longsword in half. Chen Xiang kept his heavenly magic sword, stepped on the shrinking step, and in the blink of an eye, he disappeared at the end of the street. C-2677. C-2677. The God murdering mountain was the strongest sect in the way of the sword, but now their disciple had been defeated by a single sword strike from another, and that was even under their own sect. This made many people feel extremely surprised, because the person who defeated the disciple of the God murdering mountain was a disciple of a pill master. What the hell? First, he fell in the Tao of alchemy, and now, it's our turn. Just who is this God figure? How incredible! The tall and skinny old man from the God murdering mountain stared at the broken sword and said with a frown, "This sword force is extremely overbearing, but it has been restrained and does not reveal the slightest bit of sword force. This person definitely did not learn how to use the sword aura. This kind of sword aura is naturally formed, as if it was innate. However, looking at the sword aura of this person, it's also a bit unsteady. It's probably not very useful in normal circumstances. Master, my sword was directly shattered by that sword energy. The sword energy is indeed tyrannical, but this person's cultivation level isn't that high. I can vaguely sense that there's only about one rule Tao line, which might be at the first level of the Tao God stage." The white-clothed man said. The skinny old man shook his head. "This person is indeed impressive, far surpass Sing all the other disciples in pill cultivation, and he also has an extremely high attainment in the way of the sword. He even teased 2 disciples of the pill Tao to turn them into scammers, but I don't know what his real purpose is. Master, we have already sent someone to investigate this person's background. Right now, it seems that he must be an extraordinary master. If he really is an expert in alchemy, then we should not offend him and invite him to come up the mountain." A tall middle-aged man said. The tall and skinny old man sighed. It looks like the grudge we had with him before was indeed reckless. Now, he might have a bad impression of our God murdering mountain, and made a mistake. It's a mistake. Chen Xiang did not know why, but after arriving at this place, the God killing sword in his body became extremely active. At night, Chen Xiang was on the balcony of a tavern. Looking at the majestic God murdering mountain, he felt the sword aura that looked down upon the world, as though he had become one with it. What's going on? My God killing sword seems to have awakened. Could it be that the God murdering sword techniques has a great relations Hi+P with the God murdering mountain? When Chen Xiang took out the heavenly magic sword, he discovered that it was also trembling, appearing to be extremely restless. Regarding this, Chen Xiang could not say anything. He only knew that the unparalleled divine art of the way of the sword was the God murdering sword techniques, and there had to be a connection. Could there be something in the God murdering mountain that is related to the God murdering sword techniques? Chen Xiang suddenly had such a thought. If not, the entire God murdering mountain would not continuously release such powerful sword force. Of course, it would not be easy for him to sneak into the God murdering mountain right now. The God murdering mountain's doors were tightly shut, and the cultivation of the gatekeepers were extremely high, as well as their keen observation skills. Chen Xiang said by the entrance today, and observed that it was difficult for the mosquitoes to enter the mountain gate. Right now, he couldn't use the power of S.P.A.C., so he couldn't use the white tiger's jumping ability either. He couldn't casually pass through those powerful enchantments like he did in the past. Chen Xiang was lost in thought when he suddenly heard a commotion from below. He immediately looked down and saw more than 10 bloodied men rush Hi+ing towards God murdering mountain on their back. Chen Xiang immediately walked down and asked the people who were spectating, "What's going on? These people are heading to God murdering mountain, and they won't open the door at night." Chen Xiang asked. The more than 10 injured people are all disciples of the Supreme Sword Sect. Earlier, they followed the leader to this place, but they found out that a poisonous tiger appeared in the ancient Sky Mountain range to the east of the God murdering mountain. After that, they led the disciples to go there. The shopkeeper shook his head. The Gutian mountain range has been very strange recently. A few poisonous tigers have actually appeared. I wonder how they managed to get here. Chen Xiang rolled his eyes and asked again, why did the leader of the Sublime Sword Sect go and catch the poisonous tiger? The shopkeeper sighed. Isn't it because the grandson of the leader of the Sublime Sword Sect suffered from a strange poison that required him to use the poisonous teeth and bones of the poisonous tiger to refine into 9,981 poisonous tiger needles, which he stabbed into his body to cure the poison? Poison tigers are extremely rare, and they themselves are extremely poisonous beasts, so they are not easy to capture. Chen Xiang had always wanted to sneak into the God murdering mountain, but he didn't have any good ideas. Now, he could think of one, which was to help the Supreme Sword Sect catch the poison tiger. With this plan, Chen Xiang immediately walked out of the restaurant and ran towards the east. I wonder if my impenetrable body can suppress the divine wasteland's poison. Chen Xiang thought to himself. He had already run out of the city and saw the Gutian mountain range covered by the moonlight. He quickly entered the mountain range, and the moment he entered, he heard waves of tiger roars. Could it be a poisonous tiger? Chen Xiang quickly followed the sound and entered a forest. In less than an hour, he saw pairs of glowing green eyes, gloomy and strange, in the dark forest. It's a poisonous tiger. Chen Xiang was startled. He only saw a green gas fog suddenly being used, and enveloping him within the forest. This was all poison mist, but in Chen Xiang's eyes, it was extremely beautiful, with a green glow. I'm fine, it seems like the divine wasteland's poison can't do anything to me. Chen Xiang heaved a sigh of relief, and even breathed in large mouthfuls of the poisonous miasma, but he still did not see any signs of being poisoned. I think the heavenly net has used it to catch these guys. Chen Xiang took out a small net. This was a heavenly artifact that Yuan Feng had obtained when he killed the gods. Chen Xiang released the heavenly Luo divine web. The divine web flashed and quickly enveloped the 3 poisonous tigers, then tightened around them. The poison tiger had a lot of strength and was struggling continuously. Chen Xiang immediately rushed over, took out his heavenly magic sword, and stabbed the 3 poisonous tigers to death. As for the other 2 poisonous tigers, they had already escaped. From this, it could be seen that these savage beasts weren't stupid. It's pretty easy. Chen Xiang controlled the heavenly Luo divine net to shrink and put it inside the Yu Yao mountain villa. Just as Chen Xiang walked out of the forest, he saw an elder suddenly jump out to stop him. "This little brother, did you encounter a poisonous tiger when you went in earlier?" The old man in black robes asked with an anxious expression on his face. "I did." Chen Xiang guessed that this old man should be the leader of the Sublime Sword Grotto, and the young man beside him should be his son. "You weren't attacked." The old man was surprised. "The poisonous tiger used poison fog to attack us." Chen Xiang nodded. "I am Tai Tianji. This is my father, Tai Shangzhen." The middle-aged man opened his mouth and said, "Brother, for you to be able to come out from the poisonous mist, you must have some sort of treasure to repel the poison. Otherwise, if you saw the poisonous mist released by the tiger, you would definitely be poisoned." C 2678. C 2678. He didn't have any treasures, but he learned a strange skill to counter poison from his master when he was young, so he wasn't afraid of the poisonous fog. Chen Xiang laughed. "Could this senior be a leader of the Supreme Sword Sect?" "Exactly," Tai Shangzhen immediately said. In order to cure his grandson's poison, in order to catch the poisonous tiger, the father and son pair had to put in a lot of effort. "Brother, since you know about the leader of the Supreme Sword Sect, you probably know that we, father and son, are in urgent need of catching poison tigers, right? Please do us a favor and kill 2 poison tigers. We will definitely thank you handsomely," Tai Tianxing said. Chen Xiang had already killed 3 poisonous tigers earlier, and his goal in coming here was to hunt poisonous tigers to get closer to the father and son duo. This way, he could enter God Murdering Mountain without a hitch. The Sublime Sword Grotto was also a sword sect, and it was obvious that they had gathered at God Murdering Mountain for some reason, because the Pill Dao was also here. "I have indeed heard of this before. I only need 2. Chen Xiang said. Seeing that Chen Xiang agreed, Tai Shangzhen and Tai Tianxing were overjoyed, and immediately thanked him. "Brother, you must be careful. The poisonous tiger does not only have extremely strong poisonous fog, its own strength is not weak either. This is something that we made just to catch the poisonous tiger." Just as Tai Shangzhen finished speaking, Chen Xiang took out a large net filled with 3 green poisonous tigers. Chen Xiang laughed. "Anyway, there are 3 of them here. I originally planned to kill one myself." Tai Shangzhen and the others were pleasantly surprised. This person in front of them had already killed all the way to the poison tiger, and all 3 of them at that. "Here, 1 for me. Take the other 2. Chen Xiang was very generous. He was anxious to enter the God Murdering Mountain because there was something hidden inside. "I can't thank you enough." Tai Shangzhen immediately expressed his thanks and gave a few jade boxes to Chen Xiang. "These are all the more precious medicinal ingredients of our Sublime Flow Sword Grotto, high-grade Heavenly Dao medicinal ingredient." Chen Xiang received it with a smile, then asked, "I was originally just a pill refiner, so these medicinal ingredients couldn't be better for me." "Oh, I wonder what your name is. Could you be a pill disciple?" Tai Shangzhen asked anxiously. He knew that the God Murdering Mountain had alchemy disciples. "Chen Xiang, I'm not a disciple of the alchemy Dao, I'm just a alchemist. The reason why I'm here to capture Poison Tiger is to use its flesh and blood to refine the antidote. Chen Xiang laughed. Are the two of you heading to the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain? Yes. Tai Tianji nodded. So do you. No, I was almost captured by the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain. Chen Xiang laughed bitterly. Because there was a misunderstanding. I wonder if the two of you could bring me to the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain, have a good talk with the people of the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain, and dispel this misunderstanding. That's easy to say. Although I, Tai Shangzhen, am not a powerful sword cultivator like that in the Sword Dao sect, I still have quite a bit of prestige. I will definitely help you settle this matter. Tai Shangzhen was very happy right now, because he had finally killed 2 poisonous tigers. Tai Tianji was the same. His son had been tormented by that strange poison for many years, and now, he was finally going to get rid of it. Tai Tianxing brought the 2 poisonous tigers back to the Supreme Sword Sect, while Tai Shangzhen brought Chen Xiang to the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain. Little friend, you really are a genius. Your cultivation is not very high, but your ability is not small. With your strength alone, you were able to kill the mountain giant tiger. More than 10 sword experts of our sect were all carried back after encountering 2 poisonous tigers. If you did not make a move, I'm afraid that even I would not be able to approach the poisonous tiger. The poison is too terrifying. Tai Shangzhen said. At this time, they had already reached the entrance of the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain. Chen Xiang, on the other hand, felt that it was nothing. After all, he had not been poisoned for many years. Other than L.V. Qinlian's strange poison. Actually, Poison Tiger's strength wasn't that scary to begin with. In addition, this kind of animal has been accustomed to using poison for many years and has always easily succeeded. Now that it met me, a person with a strange poison resistance technique, it was killed by me in an instant. Chen Xiang chuckled and was very modest. Tai Shangzhen was after all a leader of a sword sect. Leader, I heard that disciples of the Alchemy Dao are also in the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain. This time, there seems to be a lot of sword arts sects gathered in the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain. Could it be that something big is going to happen? Chen Xiang asked. It can be considered to be a rather important matter. Furthermore, this is not a big secret. Tai Shangzhen's expression suddenly became serious. The main reason is because the guy from the heavens discovered the legendary Myriad Tao Mausoleum. Myriad Tao Mausoleum. When Chen Xiang heard this name, he also made a rule. This place has always been a secret. Although many people have cultivated to the peak of their cultivation, these people, for some reason, mysteriously disappeared. It's said that they all went to a place to seek death. Chen Xiang said in a low voice. Is this how all of our supreme divine arts got lost? Tai Shangzhen nodded. Really, all the people who had completed the transcendent divine might went to that place, and then did not come back. Many years later, when the 6th life was renewed, there was always a batch. Afterwards, all of their life orbs broke, meaning that they were already dead. Later on, when someone returned, it revealed that that place was a huge mausoleum. Once one cultivated to the peak of the great Tao, they would be summoned by a mysterious power to that place and they would die there. Chen Xiang was even more curious about that place. All of the various sects would definitely gather together to discuss this matter. That place must be very dangerous, Chen Xiang said. Thus, we, the various sects, are all discussing whether or not we should head to the Myriad Tao Mausoleum to retrieve those lost transcendent divine mights. Tai Shangzhen nodded. If this news were to spread out, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. After all, many experts have died here, and there will definitely be a large number of cultivation techniques and all kinds of divine weapons. Chen Xiang frowned. Will this news be leaked out? He will definitely. Although our sword truth has not been decided, it will definitely come out. We cannot let the complete God murdering sword techniques and the famous swords of our sword truth fall into the hands of the heavenly Tao. When Tai Shangjin talked about the heavenly Tao, his face was filled with anger. With one look, Chen Xiang could tell that the poison on his precious grandson was caused by the heavenly Tao. Our way of the sword has already grasped the way to the myriad Tao mausoleum, and it's extremely dangerous on the way, so we will send out top-notch experts this time. Tai Shangjin sighed. Right now we are already behind the heavenly Tao, maybe Fire Avenue will start to move as well. Chen Xiang and Tai Shangjin had already reached the top of the mountain. There were many buildings on the mountain, where the disciples of God murdering mountain live. C 2679. C 2679. Along the way, the God killing sword in Chen Xiang's body was agitated all the way, and he really wanted to burst out, but he was completely suppressed by Chen Xiang. Arriving at the top, only then did the God killing sword calm down. Chen Xiang was even more certain now that there was something hidden inside the God murdering mountain, otherwise it would not have caused his God killing sword to react so violently. At the top of God murdering mountain, it was very busy. Everyone was detoxifying more than 10 people, all of them were from the Supreme Sword sect. Now that their situation had stabilized, Tai Shangjin had already forced out a lot of poison for them, and now they only needed to heal themselves. As soon as Chen Xiang came up, he saw 2 disciples of the Pill Tao, namely the azure-dressed man and the young man. "It's you." When the teenager saw Chen Xiang, he shouted out in shock. The azure-dressed man was also stunned. He quickly pulled the white-robed old man beside him and said, "Master, that's him. He's the one who said that we were pretending to be disciples of the Pill Tao. Last time, the white-clothed man who had his sword broken by Chen Xiang was also here." When he saw Chen Xiang here, it was as if he had seen a ghost. Seeing their reactions, Tai Shangjin knew that Chen Xiang had a huge conflict with them, but he had already promised to help Chen Xiang solve the misunderstanding, and he knew that Chen Xiang was not an evil person. "I am truly sorry. Before, I had indeed thought that you two were fake. That was the reason why I came here to apologize to you two." Chen Xiang immediately laughed. He had to find the thing that the God murdering mountain was hiding, so he had to get rid of this conflict with them. Then why are you pretending to be a disciple of the Pill Tao?" Seeing that Chen Xiang had come to apologize and was following beside the leader, the young man did not dare speak in a firm tone. The white-robed elder next to the youth suddenly laughed. "This young man, these 2 are my disciples. They are young and full of vigor. Please forgive them." "I'm fine." Chen Xiang laughed. He did not expect that his master would be so open-minded. How could he teach such a disciple? The white-robed old man nodded his head. "Those who reach the Tao are the people who enter the Tao. Although you have never officially joined any sect in our Tao of alchemy, your alchemy skills are so profound that you can be considered to have comprehended the true essence of the Tao of alchemy. Even if you were to establish your own sect in the future, no one would dare to say a word." Only now did Chen Xiang feel that this white-robed old man was a genuine expert of the Pill Tao, and was something that his 2 disciples could not compare with. "Thank you for your guidance, senior." Chen Xiang cupped his fists and said. Tai Shangjin also nodded his head. He had already known from the start that Chen Xiang was not an ordinary person. If not, he wouldn't have grasped that kind of strange poison fighting technique and easily killed the 2 poisonous tigers. "Old Bai, this young friend is truly amazing. Not only does he have your approval in the Pill Tao, but his strength is also extremely strong. If it wasn't for him, I don't know what kind of monkey it would take to kill 2 poisonous tigers in such a short time." Tai Shangjin laughed. Hearing that, everyone was shocked and looked at Chen Xiang with respect. Especially the more than 10 people who were still recuperating. They were all injured by the poison tiger and knew how strong it was. The white-robed elder was not surprised, he only smiled. Since that's the case, then this young friend should also be considered an esteemed guest of the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain. Of course. Tai Xiangjin laughed, and then immediately had someone arrange for Chen Xiang to rest. It was already dark. Chen Xiang was brought to a house to rest, and he was the only one inside. There are still 4 hours before daybreak. I have to hurry. Chen Xiang entered the room and immediately laid on the bed. A short while later, everyone around had left and he used the transformation technique to transform into an external body. This avatar had his aura and flesh, and he could control it with his mind. It was just that this avatar did not have enough strength, but it was enough to fool others. After creating an incarnation, Chen Xiang's real body would be using counterpower to make himself invisible. He had initially planned to enter the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain like this, but he was worried that the barrier would detect him when he entered, and if the other party were to make a move, he wouldn't be able to escape. He couldn't use his spatial energy, so he didn't dare to be rash. Using the counterpower, Chen Xiang strolled on the mountain peak. He met a few people, but none of them noticed them. That thing should be hidden inside the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain. I'm at the top of the mountain now, I need to go to the center. Chen Xiang quickly went around the mountain top, but he didn't find any place that he could enter. Only the more tightly guarded houses that he lived in didn't. Chen Xiang came to the largest one among them. The door was wide open and there was no one guarding it. Chen Xiang observed for a bit and since there was no barrier, he walked in. Upon entering, he saw a small mountain. Below it was a black iron door. When Chen Xiang got closer, he realized that the mountain was made of a very sturdy metal, just that it looked very much like a mountain. It should be here. Chen Xiang saw a very thin crack on the metal door, and immediately activated his transformation technique to turn into a very small bug, then crawled into the thin crack. After entering, he found a spiral staircase. Chen Xiang was overjoyed. He had found the right place. At this time, my senses are even stronger, and the G.O.D. killing sword in my body almost went out of control. Chen Xiang closed his eyes, suppressed the G.O.D. killing sword, and continued his journey. After half an hour, Chen Xiang finally reached the bottom of the pond. There was a black pond that was emitting the true cold qi. Without saying a word, Chen Xiang jumped down, quickly diving. Not long after he swam downwards, the G.O.D. killing sword in his body surged out violently, forming a terrifying sword force. What is this? As Chen Xiang was immersed in it, he suddenly felt waves of intense heat entering into his body. Brat, this is the sword purification pool, hee hee. A sneer suddenly appeared in Chen Xiang's mind. Sword was HI plusing pool? Chen Xiang was stunned. Yeah, this is supposed to be used to wash swords, why did you jump down? That voice appeared in Chen Xiang's mind. I don't know. Can I go up now? Chen Xiang was in excruciating pain. His body felt as though it was being pierced by 10,000 swords. Of course I can go up, but I need to wash up long enough before I can go up. 81 days. The voice laughed. What are you laughing at? Quick, let me go up. Chen Xiang shouted. To be honest, the sword was HI plusing pool has washed countless famous swords, but it has never washed anyone, so I'm very curious. The voice laughed. If he were to be washed here for 81 days, his external body would definitely be exposed. Senior, I'm in a hurry. I still have something important to do, quickly let me go up. Chen Xiang being submerged in the pool was extremely painful. It's fine. 2 hours here is like 1 year in the world. The sword purification pool has profound laws of time, and it saves a lot of time. The voice said. Then what will I become after I wash it? Chen Xiang asked again. I don't know, that's why I'm curious, because this is the first time I'm was HI plusing people's faces. In the past, there were people who accidentally fell down, but there were no more dregs left. The voice said. Bulls. H-I+T, I'm in so much pain. Chun Xiang shouted in anger. C-2680. C-2680 Chun Xiang also didn't know what exactly this sword purification pool was for, but right now, he was in so much pain that he could no longer concentrate. Originally, he wanted to ask the mysterious fellow inside with his spiritual sense, but under the constant stabbing pain, he became drowsy and set out not long after. A few days said, and Chun Xiang was awoken by the pain. After being awoken by the pain, he was tormented by it for a good half a day before fainting. He slowly opened his eyes and saw that the top of the mountain cave was filled with Hi+Ning swords, while he was currently immersed in the sword purification pool. Am I having a nightmare? At this time, Chun Xiang only felt that his body was very comfortable, and after sitting up, he realized that he could now float in the water. Of course not, you've already washed it. After the voice came out, Chun Xiang looked around and saw a white-haired, old man in a white robe on the S-A-O-R-E. Who the H-E-L-L are you? Chun Xiang immediately stood up and went to the S-A-O-R-E. He looked at the sword purification pool that had tormented him for many days. What is the use of this sword purification pool? Of course the sword purification pool uses it to cleanse the sword. However, if you threw a sword that was not up to standard, it would melt. If there was an error during the process of Hi+ing, it would be inserted into the sword. The old man smiled. You should be fine now, it should be a success. Success. But I don't feel any good, and I've suffered for so long for nothing. Chun Xiang said snappily. He indeed did not feel that he had become much stronger, nor did his physical body increase in strength. Brat, did you know that this sword was Hi+ing pool has existed for many years, but it has never succeeded in Hi+ing a sword. It has succeeded in Hi+ing a person. This was something that not even the sword ancestor himself had thought of. The old man chuckled. Then what's the use? Chun Xiang really wanted to know, but this old man kept on beating around the bush, and did not tell him. The greatest use is that you can have me. The old man said. What do I need you for? Chun Xiang looked at the old man. He did not look that strong. Brat, you look down on me? The old man raised his hand and sucked a sword from the wall above the sword was Hi+ing pool. He said, Come, let's compete. Chun Xiang took out his heavenly magic sword. Without saying a word, he thrusted his sword towards the old man's shoulder. It was clean and crisp, and his speed was as fast as lightning. But for some reason, when the old man just glanced at him once, the heavenly magic sword in his hands trembled, and then got rid of his hand, falling to the ground. Then, the old man raised his sword and lowered it to his throat. You lost, the old man said. Chun Xiang's face became ugly. Just now, it was the heavenly magic sword that had struggled free from his grasp. It was too strange, and the heavenly magic sword had also been condensed by him into a very strong primitive Tao power, but the force had suddenly disappeared. The heavenly magic sword itself had dispersed. Do you know how to be scared now? The old man picked up the heavenly magic sword and looked at it. What a good sword! His refining technique is also strange, although the person who refined is not strong, but the sword is extremely terrifying. Far Serpa. Sing the many sword crafting masters here. This person is truly a genius. But I'm still lacking something. The old man laughed and returned the sword to Chun Xiang. What just happened? Chun Xiang received the sword and asked curiously. It's nothing, just this sword handle. The old man said with a smile. I am the Emperor of 10,000 swords. Of course, my true body is already dead, and I am only a ownerless sword spirit now. Sword spirit? Qin Xiang frowned. That's right. Only a sword tempered by the sword purification pool can merge with it. I haven't waited for many years, and only then can I wait for a strange brat like you. The sword spirit said, I believe that you have already completely fused with this sword, which is why you were guided here by this sword. Qin Xiang also understood quite a bit now and said, Could it be that you can attract some powerful swords to come here? Yes, I've been here for many years. Because I don't have my original body, I can't leave this place. The sword spirit let out a sigh. Doubtfather Jiandao left me here. In the blink of an eye, who knows how many years have Pa said. So Doubtfather's sword was your original master? Qin Xiang had already guessed it. Yes, but because he broke my true form and felt sorry for me, he didn't ask me to follow him anymore. The sword spirit's face was filled with sadness. Then now. Qin Xiang looked at the heavenly magic sword. You want to be the sword spirit of my sword? What is it? Don't you welcome it? The sword spirit laughed. It's fine if you reject it. You can just continue soaking in it for a while longer. I didn't say no. Qin Xiang giggled. Senior sword spirit, then quickly come in. There's no S.P.A.C. in this sword, so I'm worried that you might not get used to it. Don't worry, I can open up some S.P.A.C. inside. As the sword spirit spoke, it turned into a white streak of light and entered the heavenly magic sword. Qin Xiang brandished the heavenly magic sword twice, but did not feel much strength, only that the sword force had changed a lot. Who knows if this change was strong or not. Brat, if you want to unleash my strength, you must learn the G.O.D. murdering sword techniques well. You should have a complete G.O.D. murdering sword techniques. The sword spirit said. Of course there is, but what do you mean by study well? I've already learned it. Qin Xiang said. What you have learned are just some basics. Since you have the G.O.D. murdering sword techniques, then comprehend it well. The sword spirit said, I will give you a few pointers. Qin Xiang hurriedly rushed back to the top floor, returned to his room, took back the avatar, and slept on the bed. As expected, there was time formation in the sword purification pool. He had immersed himself in it for many days, but only 2 hours had Pa said. Senior sword spirit, is that sword Doubtfather very powerful? Where did he go? Qin Xiang asked curiously. That sword Taoist must definitely have something to do with the G.O.D. murdering mountain. He's the founder of the G.O.D. murdering sword techniques, the #1 expert in the way of the sword. Of course he's strong, I don't even know where he went. The sword spirit said. He only said that he might die if he went to that place. Could he have gone to the Myriad Tao Mausoleum? Qin Xiang muttered. Myriad Tao Mausoleum? Where? He had been in the sword purification pool for a long time, so he did not know much about the matters outside. Now, he even thought that Qin Xiang was a disciple of a sword Dao sect. Qin Xiang told the sword spirit what he knew about the Myriad Tao Mausoleum. After the sword spirit heard it, it said, It might be inside, so you must go and take a look. Senior, I'm not a disciple of the sword Dao. Qin Xiang said, I might not join any other sects in the future. Whatever, since your heavenly magic sword can become a place to rest, then it's fine. The sword spirit said, I've been trapped in that place for too long. C2681. C2681. What made Qin Xiang a little unhappy was that after suffering for so many days, the sword spirit old man did not bring him much strength. Of course, if he wanted the sword spirit to display its power, he had to use the G.O.D. murdering sword technique. At dawn, Qin Xiang walked out of his room and arrived at the center of a square, where many people were gathered. When Tai Shangjin saw that Qin Xiang had arrived, He pulled Chen Xiang to the side and said in a low voice, "Last night, we had a meeting and decided to go to Myriad Tao Mausoleum today. Originally, I wanted you to go with us, but many leaders from the sects objected. Little brother, I am truly sorry." "It's fine, you don't have to apologize to me." Chen Xiang laughed. He had expected this to happen, so he did not mind it. Tai Shangzhen nodded his head. "Then I'll send you down the mountain now, they will be leaving soon." Chen Xiang and Tai Shangzhen arrived at the bottom of the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain. Tai Shangzhen told Chen Xiang that when he came back, he would invite him to visit the Supreme Sword Sect and tell him that he had to go there at that time. Then, Tai Shangzhen went back to the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain. Chen Xiang took a stroll around the city. At the same time, he was paying attention to the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain's mountain gate. He was certain just now this G.O.D. Murdering Mountain only had this door, and no one could fly inside the city. "Senior Sword Spirit, are there any other sects in G.O.D. Murdering Mountain?" Chen Xiang asked. He planned to secretly follow behind that group of people towards the Myriad Tao Mausoleum. The Sword Spirit was inside the heavenly magic sword and did not know about what was happening outside. "Why do you ask? Have you been trapped on top of the G.O.D. Murdering Mountain?" "No, those fellows won't let me follow them. I plan to follow them to the Myriad Tao Mausoleum," Chen Xiang said, "but I've waited for an hour and they still haven't come down. I saw them lining up upstairs just now." "Idiot, they definitely won't leave with a large group of people from the main gate. Although there is no other way, they can jump down from the mountain," the Sword Spirit said. "Take out the heavenly magic sword, I'll help you sense it." Chen Xiang anxiously took out the heavenly magic sword, causing the Sword Spirit to exclaim, "I never thought that G.O.D. Murdering Mountain's surroundings would have such a drastic change." A short while later, the Sword Spirit said, "I sense the sword energy of G.O.D. Murdering Mountain and the other disciples of the various sects together, and their movement speed was pretty fast." The Sword Spirit immediately told Chen Xiang of a direction, and Chen Xiang immediately gave chase. "I was too careless. I almost missed it. Senior Sword Spirit, you are still the shrewd and ruthless one." Chen Xiang laughed. "Of course, we can discuss it with me if there is any danger or if there is a crisis," the Sword Spirit said. Chen Xiang used his fastest speed to catch up and chased for 3 whole days before he caught up. He realized that those people were riding large carts pulled by savage beasts and were galloping on the ground. At the end, many roads were difficult to walk on, especially in some mountain forests, where dangerous things could be found everywhere. For example, tree vines with spikes on them, poisonous flowers and herbs everywhere, and occasionally, small poisonous objects would appear. "This is good, you guys can't take the bus anymore." Chen Xiang was secretly happy. He had been running behind for more than 10 days and seeing others in the carriage. His heart was very unbalanced. "Everyone be careful, a lightning destructive snake has appeared." The one who spoke was Tai Shangzhen. He studied this kind of thing the most, and this was also because his own grandson was poisoned, so everyone believed what he said. Sure enough, just as he finished his sentence, several beams of white light flashed towards the 100 or so people in front of him. "Humph!" Tai Shangzhen groaned. A burst of berserk sword force swept over. He leapt into the air and slashed out a ray of sword chi, causing the sword chi to fly out like rainbows, bringing with it an extremely hot chi. It struck the serpent's body, instantly burning it to ashes. "The supreme sword force is really amazing," a middle-aged man exclaimed. In the blink of an eye, Tai Shangzhen had killed over 100 lightning snakes, causing everyone to heave a sigh of relief. Chen Xiang used counterpower and quietly followed behind. He was not discovered. He was currently on top of a tree, and he had clearly seen Tai Shangzhen's attack just now. So this is how sword energy is used. Chen Xiang finally saw through something. The guy who attacked just now must be using the supreme sword force. The sword spirit's voice came into Chen Xiang's mind. That's right, how did you know? Chen Xiang asked. There are 3 big chapters in the G.O.D. murdering sword techniques, and these 3 chapters are all independent and can be practiced in one chapter alone. Therefore, the sects in the way of the sword are divided into 3 main divisions. The first is the God slaughtering sword force, led by the God murdering mountain. The second is the unparalleled sword force, and the third is the supreme sword sect's supreme sword force. Of course, in order to truly grasp the God murdering sword techniques, one must first learn these 3 chapters, and then integrate them completely. The sword spirit said. Chen Xiang felt that the little bit he had mastered should be the God slaughtering sword force. He had only learned the first chapter, the second chapter, and the third chapter. Alright, I'll go take a look when I have time. It won't be easy for me to learn God murdering sword techniques. Chen Xiang felt that the God murdering sword techniques was the same as the heavenly alchemy. It would definitely be very hard to learn. No, the God murdering sword techniques is the best of the 4 great mysterious techniques. The hardest part was the heavenly alchemy, even the creator couldn't learn it completely. Secondly, there's the 6 realms magic kung fu, which is a strange cultivation technique. I'm not too sure either. The sword spirit said. Chen Xiang also felt that the heavenly alchemy was very difficult. Is the God murdering sword techniques really that easy? Chen Xiang asked. If it was easy, he still wanted to learn. As long as you master the 3 types of sword intense, release the sword force, use the sword force to stimulate the strong sword chi, and then familiarize yourself with the sword moves in the God murdering sword techniques, you will basically have achieved great success. The sword spirit said. For others it would be very difficult. However, for a guy like you who has been washed by the sword purification pool, this is a piece of cake. You should be able to learn it after eating a few meals. Alright, I'll learn it when I have time. Chen Xiang wanted to give it a try right now, but he had something important to do. It was to follow this group of people to the Myriad Tao Mausoleum. A month had passed, and everyone finally walked out of this tormenting forest. They arrived at a scorching barren mountain range. Everyone rest. He was an extremely strong elder in the God murdering mountain. Chen Xiang had seen how many times he had killed the strong wild beasts and wolf. Tai Shangzhen climbed to the top of a tall mountain and observed the terrain in front of him. Afterwards, he walked down and said to everyone, "No wonder it's so hot here. Did Fire Avenue leave before me? Are they still here? Looks like we have to be careful." The expression of the elder of the God murdering mountain turned serious.